It's time for us to make peace and stop the fighting. One love, one unity, got to break the bondage. No more borders around me, no more mental slavery. But Marley said it best, stand together and feel alright. But if we fight,
let it be for justice.
and if we war,
Let it be for justice.
at all costs,
Let it be for justice.
do what is right.
Let it be for justice.
Let it be for justice. Let it be for justice. No matter what it costs, let it be for justice. Let it be for justice. Inequity, disparities, and violence. Oppression, racism, no, I won't be silent. No more barriers for we. We will thrive, prosperity. Marcus Garvey said it best, none but ourselves can free your minds. But if we fight,
Let it be for justice.
and if we war,
Let it be for justice.
at all costs,
Let it be for justice.
do what is right.
Let it be for justice.
Let it be for justice. Let it be for justice. No matter what it costs, let it be for justice. Let it be for justice. Let it be,
Greetings and salutations, one and all.
no matter what it costs, let it be for justice.
How you doing? Happy New Year.
We the people are.
Yep, this is where I kick off the brand new year on the night shift of DJ Kevin Stew, a month into the new year. Look at that.
Keep the culture, be united, stop the violence. Put the power in our
But we had to put things in place,
news last week, another bomb over
move things here,
murder.
put them over there,
Street.
put new equipment in place. There are lots of things being done.
But if we fight,
But it's good to be back.
For justice.
and if we war,
Yeah, I missed doing this. I missed my therapy.
Let it be
I want to say big ups to each and everyone locked in right now on the night shift of DJ Kevin Stew.
for justice.
let it be for justice.
Thank you very much, 2528.
Justice, no matter what it
It's good to be back.
for justice. Let it be.
Good to be missed.
Let it be for justice.
Kicking it off tonight with the sound of China Nicole.
Let it be.
A track called Let It Be for Justice.
Let it be.
And whenever you hear that song,
Let it be for justice.
there are a few songs I play when it has something to do with the legal system.
Let it be for
This here
let it be.
is pretty much my anthem.
Let it be for justice. No matter what it costs, let it be
I
for
want to say big ups to each and everyone locked in, all the affiliates.
justice. We the
Let me see if I remember how to do this thing.
royalty.
Big ups to those locked in on One Harmony Radio.
Many
Top of the morning to you guys over there in the UK.
see
Big ups to those out of New Jersey and IE Radio.
violence. Put the power
Motivate up, big up yourself.
child. In the news last week, another bomb.
Much love to my friends up there in New York.
Murders in the street.
Island worldwide exhibiting the power of music.
Ooh, why on? Ooh,
Much love to ya.
why on?
Big ups to those who are tuned in on the Foundation Radio Network, ClintonLindsay.com.
Let it be for justice.
You can catch Clinton every day on the Foundation Radio Network, ClintonLindsay.com.
What is right?
Yeah man, check him out.
Let it be for justice. Let
I want to say big ups to those who are locked in out of Texas.
matter what it costs, let it be for
My Texas affiliates, I love them.
mine.
WGLRO, home of the Donny Walker Morning Show, the People Station.
For justice.
Taking it from the sheets to the streets, touching Detroit to Denmark and all points in between. Much love to you guys on WGLRO.
Be for justice.
Big ups to those on Oliwap Radio and Dusick Media Groups.
Be for justice.
Texas representation is strong.
Let it be for justice. No matter what it costs, let it be for justice.
Big ups to those on CR7.
Let it be for justice.
and all the affiliate stations. Much love to you. Do remember you can catch the podcast on the Night Shift to DJ Kevin Stewart, and the YouTube channel is the same name.
We the people
The Night Shift to DJ Kevin Stew.
royalty.
All you need to do is look for it on your search engine,
Can see.
and we're in business.
Try to stop the violence. Put the power in ourselves. Create the franchise. In the news last week on
Hey Josie,
I'm so sick of these murder
I got you.
streets. Ooh, why
I want to say big up to those who are locked in on PEMGTV.com.
But if we fight,
Those on TuneIn Radio, the Night Shift to DJ Kevin Stew. Those bubbling in the stew pot on Zeno Radio, Zeno FM.
what is right?
Yeah man, loving the affiliations,
Let it be. Let
loving the support. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
it be.
I do invite you to call a friend, tell a friend, friends of your friends, friends of your enemies, enemies of your friends, and your enemies too.
Let it be.
Call everybody.
Let it cost. Let it be for justice.
Big up to those on Facebook Live.
Let it be for justice. We the people are from royalty.
Hey John, welcome to the family.
So many of us can see.
Those on Facebook, hey, remember it's only a segment that you get, Come on over to kevinstew.com.
Let's create the franchise. In the news
Big ups to those who are locked in on kevinstew.com.
look at these murders in
We are encouraged to have acceptance through enlightenment.
ooh,
Truly appreciate love you.
ooh, boy,
You don't need to sign up for anything. You don't need to give your name. You can remain anonymous. You don't need to offer your firstborn or blood sacrifice. Nothing like that. Just go to kevinstew.com. Those of you on Facebook Live, it's pinned in the comment section. Come on over.
what is right?
The number to call in on tonight.
Let it be. Let it be.
The number to get through is scrolling across the bottom of your screen. 773-789-STEW.
Let it be for justice.
That's 773-789-7839.
Let it be for justice. Let
And the lines are open.
no matter what it costs. Let it be for justice.
But before I bring David on, so we can question him, because tonight is all about asking David questions. If you don't know David Fisher, well, you're gonna know him today. But I do have some housekeeping to do. I want to say thank you to my sponsors, Pulse Media Group. Much love to you, and being in the moment is priceless. Give them a call, 754-999-1140. They can do everything you see here on kevinstew.com and more.
Let it be.
So you have a wedding, a funeral, a church service, a barbecue, a party, a seminar, you name it. You want to stream it live?
We the people are
Go ahead and give them a call. They have the solution that you need.
so many of us.
754-999-1140.
Keep the culture be united.
Or check them out online, pulseemg.com.
The franchise. In the news last week, another bomb over.
Thank you to Althea and her Healing Heavenly Hands. Althea SU is a licensed massage therapist operating out of Broad County, North Miami-Dade, and Palm Beach County, South Palm Beach County. Give her a call, 954-655-9000. She's a licensed massage therapist that comes to you. She only has one request outside of paying her, that you get off her table and go sleep somewhere else when she's done. Because if you're anything like me, you'll love it and fall asleep.
Let it be.
Much love to Reggae Global Radio.
Let it be for justice. No matter what it costs. Let it be for justice. Let it be for justice. Let it be for justice. Let it be for
And big ups to Reggae Global Entertainment.
justice.
Reggae Global Entertainment will act as your booking agent, handle your tour management, legal service referrals, marketing and promotion, music production, and so much more. Marketing and promotion. Did I say marketing and promotion? Yeah, I did. Check them out on reggaeglobalentertainment.com. Or you can do the short way, reggaeglobal.com. Go ahead and check them out.
for justice, no matter what it
Tell them you heard about them on the night shift to DJ Kevin Stew.
let it be for justice. Let it be for justice. Let it be for justice, no matter what it costs.
Want to say thank you to McNeil Trucking.
Let it be for justice.
With McNeil Trucking, you're in good hands for your moving needs. Give them a call, 954-406-9740. Tell them DJ Kevin Stew sent you. Thank you, McNeil Trucking. Hey, John. We need to talk about Melissa. Yeah, we do need to talk about Melissa. I need to know what her story is.
Let it be for justice. Let it
Okay.
justice.
So without further ado,
Let it be for justice. Let it be
we have the man of the moment on the line.
for justice. Let it be for justice. Why
David, are you there?
I am.
Oh, loud and clear. Jeez. I need to turn you down a bit. All right. Where am I hearing things from? Something is playing. Oh,
It's not
I
on.
know.
It's not on my end.
I know what it is. It's my headphones for my my other headphones. Anyway, how you doing, Dave?
I'm doing pretty good. I must, and I got to make a comment.
Yes.
Your sponsor, McLean Trucking. It's been a
McNeil.
lifetime ago that I used to deal with them. It's a
No.
good company.
That's
a
no.
good
This one is McNeil Trucking.
I'm sorry. I said McLean. I meant McNeil.
Yeah.
My neighbor's name's McLean. Anyway, I dealt with them. Oh, it's been more than a lifetime ago. It's a good company.
Oh, lovely. This one is the one in South Florida, though. We need to talk about them.
Well, you see, I used to ship stuff, across the United States and back and forth, and from industries within different states. So I would, from here in Houston, I would buy things in Florida and ship them to another operation in Florida. So, and I did this in California, all across the United States.
Lovely, lovely. I like it. All right, so Happy New Year, Fish.
And same to you. And it's starting out to be a rowdy new year.
Yeah, there are lots of things that are happening.
Yes, a lot of things, and picking up speed.
So tonight tonight is the Ask Fisher night. And a lot of people, first of all, don't know who David Fisher is. And then you have others who do. And I don't think the ones that really know who David Fisher is really like you, Fish.
Well, let's put it this way. There's a lot of people that don't send me Christmas cards.
Right. So those people.
Yes.
I don't know what it was that you did to the people, but they don't like you.
I think it's because I don't respond to those pin cushions. So you can needle me all you want, and good luck with that. That's going nowhere.
Leave it to Dave, y'all. So with tonight's topic, where they get to ask Fisher. First, let me tell people. I do want y'all to know that the lines are open. As a matter of fact, let me put this up so that I can see it when anyone is calling and give out the number. Because I want to be notified every time someone is calling in. Have that line ready for them to ask you their questions directly. So those of you who are locked in, wherever you're locked in on, the night shift on kevinstew.com, on Facebook Live, on any of the affiliate stations across the world, you want to go ahead and ask David Fisher a question directly? Fine, not a problem. The lines are open. 773-789-STEW. 773-789-7839. I can tell you once more. 773-789-7839. You can call in and ask Fisher. For those of you who, for whatever reason, cannot call in right now, you can go to kevinstew.com, and in the chat, in the stew pot, yeah, everybody else calls it that chat, but because we're fancy on kevinstew.com, it's a stew pot. It's where we keep things interactive and bubbling. You can go ahead and put your question there. But I do want you to call in, and here's why. There are a lot of people that are hiding behind computers. They have these opinions, but they only seem to have their strength when typing on a keyboard. For whatever reason, I don't know. If you have something to say, go ahead and say it. If you have a question to ask, go ahead and ask it. The man is right here. So don't wait until a broadcast is posted for you to be running up on the comment section of that broadcast, whether it's on YouTube or my podcast, anywhere, and on Facebook, and want to be going off and making your comments and not giving Fisher a chance to respond. So here it is. Tonight we have set it up. You can ask Fisher all your questions. And the number is scrolling across the bottom of your screen. For those of you who are just listening, it is 773-789-7839. I'll say it once more. 773-789-7839. Easy way to remember it, 789-STEW. The area code is 773. It's simple enough, right? Right, Fish?
Yeah, it sounds fairly simple to me.
Okay, so, here we go. On Facebook Live, someone has a question. Hey, Josie. All right, so, first question. I heard you talk about Susanna Dana, who also testified at Rodney's hearing. I learned Norma Farley did the autopsy in Melissa Lucio's case, as well as the autopsy in a man named Manuel Velez, who was also on death row and got off for corruption. Is there any information on Norma Farley that could be used to help Melissa Lucio since she has been given an execution date? Okay, so this is really Ask Fish about on anything to do with the Rodney Reed case.
No,
But
that's fine, Kevin.
since
Because I've tracked Norma Farley, for near 20 years, and the cases that Josie are talking about are from McAllen, and as the fates would have it, I was the one that hit McAllen in 2005 that ultimately resulted in Norma Farley being down there.
okay, and
That was the first. Go ahead.
sorry to interrupt you, but Melissa Lucio, who she's asking about, John, her son, is listening in right now.
Okay.
So since we're dealing with some of the same players in the Rodney Reed case, this can be beneficial to others.
Right, and here's the way it worked. In 2005, I removed the forensic pathologist who was operating out of McAllen for being incompetent and falsifying his credentials.
Okay.
That what got my attention is I stumbled upon an article about a district court judge committing suicide, and some of the verbiage used in the article got my attention. So I pulled the records and talked to the reporters with the newspaper in McAllen, the McAllen Monitor, and became very clear very quickly that this was a murder. The judge was set to meet with the FBI on corruption within public officials in McAllen, and over the weekend he was found dead. And he was alleged to have been found sitting up, and yet he had damage to his face, which doesn't make sense when you commit suicide.
Right.
That you have contusions to your face and you didn't fall out of your chair on your face, you're still sitting up. And so I was like, got into it deeper, he was found sitting in his wine room, back up against the wall, with his, I think it was his divorce decree in front of him, a glass of wine on the right, and the pistol on the left. But the blood spatter showed a gap directly in front of him, meaning that whoever shot him blocked the blood splatter from hitting the wall behind the person who shot him.
Right.
And as I pointed this out and the reporters started digging, they came back and said, "Oh my God, you're right, that everything points to a murder in this case." So anyway, I went to the state senator down there, Hinojosa, and he agreed there were problems. And ultimately they removed the forensic pathologist, and then Norma Farley appears. Now, Norma Farley's activities down there were more than just illegal. The commissioner's court basically made her a medical examiner and a private forensic pathologist that was on the payroll to the county, who advised the county. I mean, it is a mess.
Mm-hmm.
It's the merger of both a medical examiner's office and a JP County, and you can't do it. Because basically you had two people acting as the inquest judge simultaneously in the same county. And the thing that Norma Farley is best at is making it up as she goes along. One of the cases that I looked at, and I guess this was probably 2006, that really got my attention. A woman that weighed 800 pounds,
Mm-hmm.
that was bedridden. She could not get out of her bed. They couldn't get her in and out of the house. She was too big. And she was babysitting her nephew, who went into seizures and died. And Norma Farley told everybody that the woman killed this little boy. I think he was 6.
Mm-hmm.
And said she sat on his head and crushed him. Are you kidding? She couldn't get out of bed. And as I pulled the records, it was obvious as it could be in the autopsy report that this kid had suffered a major head trauma as long as a couple of months previous. And generally, when you see such trauma as this, any little event can set off a brain swell that can kill you. And apparently something happened, something so minor, but it set the brain to swelling. This kid had skull fractures from the back of his head, where it looked like somebody had dropped an egg, and it shattered the back of the skull, and had 2 radial fractures that went out both on the right and left side of his head towards the front. And these were old. And they kept this woman under indictment with the threat of the death penalty for a couple of, it went on for months before Norma finally admitted that the brain injuries predated this woman taking care of this kid. Now, there was enough stress on this woman, it could have killed her. And it would not have surprised me that was their intent.
So
anything Norma Farley ever wrote or testified to, I wouldn't trust.
So
now,
okay.
Norma, go ahead.
So as an ME, if anyone had, like the Reed family has a case where they have a family member who is incarcerated based on testimony from Norma Farley as a medical examiner, do they have any outside of that story and outside of what they have come across with us exposing things in a Reed case, which involves, on a lesser, smaller degree, Norma Farley, is there anything that they can go and find
Well, what they would do is they would go back. The attorneys representing the defendant need to go back and look at the history of Norma Farley, and especially her interactions and pay from the commissioner's court, because you'll see her gradually becoming more and more really a county official, but an unappointed county official. The commissioner's court, she's running the JP system for the commissioner's courts. All the justice of the peace were doing was signing where they signed, but Norma Farley ran everything, and there is no provision under state law for that. It's just flat illegal. And from 2005 to 2019, she operated as a quasi county official, and you can't do it.
Well, apparently she has been doing it.
Well, in Texas, what the law says, and if you're working on the side of the state, and what you're allowed to do illegally, well, Texas says, yeah, come say, come saw. If it gets the job done, we don't care whether it follows the Constitution or the statute. Only that's catching up with them this year. You see, Norma Farley, when she testified in Reed's case,
yes,
some big conflicts of interest there, and to the point of suborning perjury and fraud. And here's why.
Okay.
Norma Farley's there testifying in support of Bayardo's, testimony at trial and his autopsy. But you see, Norma Farley used to be a Travis County medical examiner, deputy medical examiner under Bayardo.
Okay.
For around a year. At the time that she was there, she was required to sign a contract whereby any autopsy she did for the JP counties, she did it as a private physician for profit. Well, see, that's what Bayardo did when he did Stacy Stites' autopsy. He did not do it as the Travis County medical examiner. He did it as a private physician for profit for $300. But he's doing the autopsy during county time, so he's being paid as a county official, his salary, while at the same time double dipping and performing autopsies for the JP counties as a private physician without ever disclosing this to the district courts, the district attorney, the JPs, or anybody else. This was a criminal fraud that Travis County ran from August 1st, 1992 until Bayardo left, and I shut it down. So it wasn't just Norma Farley. Norma Farley had just a short period of time, but what she was doing was criminal. And, she could get blackmailed for that by somebody that might have been a state prosecutor and would force her to that testimony she gave.
Okay, so that leads to the question of why would you think that whatever it was that Norma Farley testified about last July in the Rodney Reed hearing, evidentiary hearing, that she should have been questioned by the defense a lot further. But basically you're saying she is coming up and putting her job on the line, her name on the line, putting everything on the line because she could have been blackmailed by the prosecuting attorney?
Yeah, say the Attorney General Lisa Tanner could have blackmailed her. But you see,
not saying that she did, but she could have.
She could have, easily. And the same with Susanna Dana. Because, see, what Bayardo did in doing the autopsy as a private physician for profit,
yes,
Norma Farley was under the same contract as was Susanna Dana, and I pulled some of the records where Susanna Dana did in JP counties, did autopsies, signing them as a Travis County deputy medical examiner when she did them as a private physician for profit, and she was paid, and they never disclosed that to the defense, to the district attorneys, to the county attorneys, to the district courts, anybody. It was a scam. So Norma Farley, even though she was only in Travis County for about a year, she knew that Bayardo did that autopsy as a private physician, not as a medical examiner. And she has a duty to disclose that, but she didn't.
Okay.
And there's the red flag. And see, and then Susanna Dana, she has years and years of this stuff. I mean, she was signing she was under the same contract Bayardo was from 92.
And we've shown those documents. And we've shown that contract.
Right. And this is the stuff I gave to the Innocence Project. When I saw because I was curious as to who Lisa Tanner was going to put on the stand to buttress Bayardo's testimony, and I could not believe it was Norma Farley and Susanna Dana. Of all the medical examiners in Texas, you picked two that were with Travis County that were under the same illegal, fraudulent contract for deceiving and defrauding defendants in JP counties that went from 92 to 2007, and those are the two that Lisa Tanner chooses to put on the stand to buttress Bayardo's testimony. Now that's crazy or corrupt, one or the other.
Okay, so we have a question here coming in a stew pot, and before I read this question, there was a question posted on Facebook Live. I'm going to ask you guys to come on over to kevinstew.com because this is where we're going to say sayonara to Facebook Live. All right, come on over kevinstew.com for the remainder of the broadcast. The quick question from Josie over there on Facebook Live. Did you look into Melissa's case any at all? That would be Melissa Lucio. Have you heard of her? Have you looked at her case at all?
No. There are so many.
Right.
And things are moving so fast. And see, the Rodney Reed case, with a couple others, affect all of the cases statewide.
Yes.
So when they fall, the others go with them. Now, to bring the public up to speed, I had a long conversation with the FBI about one of the other medical examiner's offices, and they took the public corruption charge.
Oh, wait. Let's not get into that yet. Wait, 1 second.
Yeah.
Hold that thought.
I was only going to say that's started. Now, and I also pulled records on Bayardo from back in 78, showing that the Commissioner's Court never appointed him. The contract that they signed with him was illegal,
right,
and violated the Constitution. And bigger yet, it was only a 3-year contract that they never came back and renewed in 81.
All right, hold that.
So
thought
Bayardo
too.
was never a Travis County medical examiner ever, but
because we had shown that document also.
Yes, but if the contract that he was under for 3 years,
yes,
just for argument's sake, say that was legal. After 81, it wasn't, and the Stacy Stites autopsy was done in 96.
Yeah,
and it was not legal. He was not a medical examiner. The county knew it. He was receiving monies over his salary.
Yes.
By doing autopsies for the JP counties, which is unconstitutional in Texas.
All right.
And
Stick
it's
up
so
in
it's so unconstitutional. Right now, I'm working a major story in another county, in another city, where the commissioners decided to pay a bunch of people, including law enforcement, last December, over their salary, a premium pay increase.
Yes.
And when I alerted the county that what they were doing was illegal, and this was through the county judge, it was unconstitutional, they went to the Council of Judges, which are all the district court judges in that county,
Mm-hmm.
and tried to get the district court judges to write them a backdoor letter covering what they were doing unconstitutionally. And the judge got caught. And he has resigned. Now, this hasn't been reported yet. This is all in the works right now. Now, additionally, I have a couple of cases going on involving judges just like J.D. Langley that have refused to take their oaths.
Yes.
And two of these people that I'm dealing with are ex-judges who have been tried by judges with no oaths. And they are moving to sue.
Okay, so some people
And-
that know the system are now suing the system.
That's right. Judges who have fallen prey to this corruption in Texas that's gone on for 20 years, where visiting retired and senior judges have refused to take the oath of office when they're assigned to a case,
Yes.
which is mandatory in Texas. And if the judge doesn't take the oath, everything they do on the bench is void and a nullity.
All right.
And
So
one of those judges, knowing that he didn't have the oath, knowing that it was unconstitutional, signed an execution order and had an inmate executed in 2019.
Larry Swearingen.
That was Larry Swearingen, and the judge who did it was J.D. Langley. Now I'm gonna drop a couple of deals here.
Wait.
Bombs.
Wait, before you
Go
drop
ahead.
those
Okay,
bombs. Before you
slow
drop the
down,
bombs.
David. Okay.
Facebook Live, deuces to you. You want to hear those bombs drop? Come on over to kevinstew.com. Hold that thought, David. I have a few questions here in the stew pot that I need to present to you.
Okay.
Facebook Live, deuces. I know you're enjoying it. Come on over to kevinstew.com for the rest of it. All right, so here's a question from Potter 2522. What is your, and it's a number of questions, so I'm going to read them all out and we can attack them one after the
Sure.
other. Okay, two of them. What is your theory on how Jimmy Finnell was able to get back to his apartment in time after dropping off the truck at the high school? That's one question.
Okay. Well, let's answer from one question, and I'll answer it, and we'll go to the second one.
Okay, go.
The record is clear.
Mm-hmm.
The Jimmy Finnell, after he killed Stacy about 8:30, between 8:30 and 9 that Monday evening before, which was the 1-year anniversary to the day that he met her. He killed her on her anniversary, on their anniversary of the day they met. He then loaded her in the pickup, took all of her clothes that were in the apartment, everything she owned that was in the apartment, put it in his truck, put the clothes in clear trash bags, covered her body that was rolled up on the floorboard of the pickup, pushed the passenger bucket seat back, and drove her immediately to Bastrop. Jimmy Finnell was seen with his truck at about between 10 and 10:30, a couple of blocks from the high school, in the company of Texas Ranger Rocky Wardlow, David Ward, and Ed Salmela.
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy Finnell's best friend and neighbor in Giddings was a jailer at the Bastrop County Jail, Curtis Davis. Curtis Davis was working the night shift that Monday night in Bastrop from 7 p.m. Monday night to 7 a.m. Tuesday morning. Curtis Davis, 2 hours into a shift around 9, told his supervisor that he broke a tooth and he needed to leave because he had an emergency dental appointment. What he was doing is going and picking up Jimmy after Jimmy left the pickup, with Stacy's body in it in the possession of Texas Ranger Rocky Wardlow. And Curtis Davis drove him back to Giddings. And you saw that. This all kind of fell out when Curtis Davis in 2016 did the interview with CNN and told CNN that Jimmy Fennell lied on the stand because he wasn't home with Stacy all that night. He was out drinking with his buddies. Well, Bryce Benjett, the magnificent attorney for Rodney that he was, when he had Jimmy Fennell on the stand in 2017, didn't ask Jimmy or Curtis, exactly, do you know where Jimmy was drinking with his buddies? Because it was in Bastrop. The buddies that he's talking about were David Board, Ed Somala, and Ranger Wardlow. And so he had Bryce, and Bryce knew this. But Bryce didn't ask him. Bryce spent more time protecting the state than he ever did representing Rodney, which almost got Rodney executed twice.
Okay. So
Jimmy Fennell drove Stacy's body after he killed her, loaded her in the pickup, drove her to Bastrop that night, leaving her body in the pickup with Rocky Wardlow, the Ranger, to stage the crime scene. Curtis Davis took off work at the jail, picked Jimmy up, and drove him back to Giddings. And Curtis Davis told everybody, told the world in that interview with CNN, that Jimmy Fennell was his bromance, his best friend that he's had since high school. They got along great. They hunted, they fished together. They were like brothers. And that's how Jimmy got back.
All right, next question. What is your theory on when and where this supposed affair went down and how they pulled it off without owning vehicles or phones? Now, before you even take a breath to answer this question, affairs didn't start happening just recently. Affairs have been going on forever. So I have a call coming in too. Caller, 1 second. I want to say this. People have been, and caller, could you just mute your computer for me, please? I can hear myself coming through. Now, people have been having affairs forever and have been doing it successfully. They didn't just start happening when people got cell phones or when they just started having vehicles. So asking how something like this could happen in a small town, that's kind of ridiculous because people will find a way. And Stacy was using a vehicle. She was driving into Bastrop all the time. And people had seen her with Rodney in Bastrop. So asking how they did it, you need to ask them how they did it. And since Stacy isn't here, you can ask Rodney how he did it. But if you're too busy saying that Rodney killed Stacy, then you wouldn't be thinking to ask a question like that. Just, you don't have to believe that he didn't. Just have to have an open mind to ask the question, how did they do it? So I won't even ask you to waste time on that one, because when we had Joy Monfort on the broadcast, she talks about Rodney talking to Stacy. She talks about seeing Rodney with Stacy and other people in Bastrop seeing Rodney with Stacy. So let's not even go there. Caller, good evening.
Good evening.
Welcome to the night shift with DJ Kevin Stew. You have a question for David.
Yeah.
David, can you hear him?
Yes, I can.
Cool.
You just went on about Curtis Davis, mentioning that he exposed Jimmy lying about where he was. You know, as well as anybody who follows this case, that after the CNN interview, the courts brought Curtis Davis in They discussed his proclamations of what he said and how Jimmy's timeline isn't what he thought it was. And you know that he explained that. And he explained it because his explanation was he had made assumptions based on what time his friends got out of a baseball game. And he made some assumptions as to when that Jimmy would go out for beers. But you know, as well as everybody else who knows this case, who has read the transcripts of the appeals, that Curtis Davis fell back from his proclamations and said that he was wrong. But you continue to use that as you do a lot of things that are inconvenient to your story.
Okay, now let me enlighten you a little bit on what you don't know. Now, I don't, unlike what you're trying to say, is I read the transcripts like everybody else. That's not true. I talk to the people. I live in this county. I deal with the people. I deal with law enforcement. Here's what you don't know. As I stated earlier, Curtis Davis was working the night shift from Monday night, the 22nd of April, 96, to Tuesday morning at 7 a.m. The jail shifts are 12-hour shifts for the jailers. Curtis Davis would have gotten off at 7 a.m. that Tuesday morning that Stacy was reported missing. About the time she's reported missing, he would have been getting off work had he not told his boss that he broke a tooth and he had an emergency dental appointment that night. Now, we checked. Curtis Davis did not have a dental appointment with anybody. He didn't go to the dentist. He drove from Bastrop between 9 and 10, or in that time frame, back to Giddings. Where Jimmy Fennell lived is on his route. Curtis, and it was very clever testimony and very stupid representation by the Innocence Project by Bryce Benchett, since they had all of this information, not to ask the questions. What Curtis said is, I don't remember, he didn't tell me what time he got home. Oh, yeah, well, that's very obvious why. You see, Jimmy Fennell's apartment was a couple of miles before you get to Giddings. Now, so you know, Texas, there's nothing between Giddings and Bastrop. It's 30 miles, that strip. I mean, it's just out in the country. As you're approaching Giddings, it's flat. Where Fennell's road that goes to the apartments up on the hill that he lived at, you can see 3 miles in front of you and 3 miles behind you. Curtis would have dropped him off on the highway and let Jimmy walk up the hill to his apartment so nobody would see him drop him off. He would have not thrown up.
Are you saying that you don't know what Curtis Davis had said subsequently?
I have the transcripts. I know exactly what he said. I have the CNN transcripts. And here's what...
No.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I have the transcripts. Now, see, it goes on. Jimmy Fennell in the CNN interview, he goes on. And what he says after this stuff about Jimmy saying he wasn't home, he was out drinking with his buddies, then he says, they ask him about the Tuesday. He said, well, I came to work Tuesday morning. This is the 23rd. This is the day that Stacy is missing and they're looking for. He says, I arrived at the jail to work my shift, and as I walk into the break room, there's Jimmy Fennell. And I go, oh, what is he doing here? Why isn't he in uniform? I don't understand. And then Jimmy says, oh, Stacy's missing. And I go, what? Here's the problem. I have the time records for the whole year of 96 for Curtis Davis working at the jail. That that week of Stacy's murder, Curtis Davis was scheduled to work the night shifts. His schedule was to work Monday evening from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. Tuesday morning, and from Tuesday, 7 p.m. Tuesday to 7 a.m. Wednesday morning. Curtis Davis wasn't scheduled to be at work on Tuesday because he's working the night shifts. So
you're saying
why
he
is
helped
Curtis Davis showing up and lying that he was scheduled to work Tuesday morning? Because that would have meant he worked a 24-hour shift had he not said he had a broken tooth.
So you're saying that he helped Jimmy get away with murder. And
That's
then
right.
after, he gets up in CNN and says, hey, Jimmy doesn't really have an alibi, even though that would, in your world, put him in danger of helping somebody who murdered their fiancée.
And do you know what happened to him when he did that CNN interview? They criminally investigated him.
And
for giving that statement. So to giving that interview to CNN because he didn't have permission to do it. Do you think maybe he might have changed his testimony? And then the question is, Bryce Benjett had the worksheets. He knew that Curtis lied to CNN, and you have to explain why Curtis was waiting for Jimmy Fennell at the sheriff's department that morning to then drive Jimmy over to the truck and to the impound lot and to meet with the police chief. Because Curtis...
So he helped Jimmy kill Stacy, and then he goes on CNN and says, hey,
no, I didn't say he didn't help Jimmy kill Stacy. He was the one who drove Jimmy back to Giddings. Now, you didn't ask me if I am claiming that Jimmy knew what he was doing, or Curtis knew that he was helping Jimmy do this, because he may not have. I don't have any documentation that shows that Curtis knew that Jimmy had killed Stacy and dropped her truck and the body off. All Curtis did was give him a ride back to Giddings that Monday evening.
But you just said
and
that
then never disclosed
it. A few other people were in the parking lot together, and that
you're putting words in my mouth. I did not list Curtis Davis as being seen with Jimmy.
No. He said Jimmy was seen with his drinking buddies.
In the parking lot the morning.
He said that Jimmy told him he was out drinking with his buddies. Now, since Curtis picked Jimmy up, and Jimmy was in the company of these people that he knew, the Ranger, the David Board, Ed Somala, he knew all of them. In fact, do you know who Jimmy Fennell's roommate was prior to going to Giddings? Prior to move to Giddings? Ed Somala. That was his roommate in Bastrop. So he knew these people. Now, can I swear that Curtis knew that Jimmy was dropping off Stacy's body in his truck? No. There's no evidence of that. One could assume he did, but I'm not assuming. I'm telling you what I know for a fact.
So now Curtis Davis, in your mind, had nothing to do with the murder. He was just conveniently, but you
he's best friends with Jimmy.
Yeah, so you say that he just magically turned up in the morning, and it seems to me.
Oh, now that is absolutely that's true. And see, as again, I have the full transcript with CNN.
But you're inferring that is a reason to believe that Curtis was involved, that he wouldn't have shown up at the place of his work unless he was.
Curtis lied to CNN when he said that he showed up for work Tuesday morning on his normal schedule, because he was scheduled to work the night shift that Tuesday. He would have.
He lied to him a lot.
He was not. There was no reason for him to go to the Bastrop jail, especially
Tuesday morning.
That Tuesday morning, he didn't. I mean, if he had known that Stacy,
he could
I'm
show up
sorry?
at a place where he works. It makes sense that a guy who had to leave early the day before might have gone back to the place where he works.
No, because he's got to work that night. He should be sleeping,
I know, but
or
it doesn't
doing
mean that.
So
You
why
see-
why would he go back to work the morning to go and work the night?
Well, I mean,
Look, he could have
obviously because he killed Stacy, or
what-
he needed to
what-
get Jimmy a ride home.
No, what I'm saying is, Curtis straight out lied to CNN as to what he was doing at that jail Tuesday morning. He was not there to work his normal shift. He lied. Why did he lie? And then, you see, and the jail would not have assigned him if he was working as a jailer. They would not have assigned him to escort Jimmy around. You
So,
see, that's
as
the
a
deal.
result of
Curtis- Huh?
I'm sorry. As a result of that, you think that what was going through Curtis Davis's mind as he drove Jimmy?
No. I don't pretend to know what's going through Curtis Davis's mind.
But you infer it a lot.
I'm telling you that when you have a law enforcement officer who lies on this type of an interview in a capital murder case, there's a problem. It's not
Agreed.
just a normal person, saying things. This guy is a sergeant with as a jailer, and on top of this, what you also don't know is that Curtis Davis pulled Rodney's criminal history in May of '96 as a jailer, which he had no authority to do. And I know this because I have the printout from the criminal computer database of Curtis Davis pulling Rodney's criminal history with no reason, no authority as a jailer to do that. That was criminal on Curtis Davis's part.
There's also the issue of Jimmy being seen with the truck with David Bordell, Ed Samana, and Rocky Wardlow.
Oh, Curtis Davis wasn't involved with that?
Again, there were 4 people seen.
Yeah, these are the people that are seen. Where Curtis comes into it is that Jimmy had to get back to Giddings sometime between 10 and 10:30 when, after he was seen. And this is a block and a half behind the high school parking lot where the truck was found. And it just so happens at the same time that Jimmy needs to ride back, Curtis Davis has a broken tooth and needs to leave work early. And Jimmy Fennell is his best friend and bromance buddy, as he made it very clear. I mean, when you read the CNN interview, it's a pretty incredible relationship these two guys have.
Curtis was
And
lying.
and so since Curtis lives in Giddings, past where Jimmy and Stacy lived, and Curtis is the one who volunteered to CNN that Jimmy lied on the stand that he wasn't at home with Stacy like he said. He was out drinking with his buddies. And then he tells the court, oh, well, that's what Jimmy told him. And then you read the rest of the CNN interview where Curtis says, oh, I showed up Tuesday morning to work my regular shift. Well, that's a lie. He
Are you
wasn't
familiar with the
scheduled to.
fact that during the appeals that he was questioned about this, and he never said that Jimmy told him about the time that he got back. This is
You're
all
right.
stuff that he
Yeah.
assumed.
See, that's the little trick. And see, you have to do this for a while to catch these nuances. When he was pressed, he says, "Oh, well, Jimmy didn't tell me what time he got home because I don't know what time he got home." That's right. You drop him for one. You just look at common sense tells you. The street. Jimmy lives less than an eighth of a mile from where the highway hits that dead-end street that apartment complex is on, and it's 2 miles out of town. It's desolate. But there are many people in that apartment complex. What risk would Curtis take driving Jimmy to his apartment and dropping off Jimmy at his apartment and being seen, as opposed to dropping him off on the side of the highway and letting Jimmy walk home? Well, if you drop him off on the side of the highway, then you say, I don't know what time he got home. He didn't tell me. But see, if Bryce were really representing Rodney, he would say, well, did you took off work. You were working that night. Jimmy Fennell was seen in Bastrop that night, about the same time you took off work, claiming you had a broken tooth. Did you drive him home and drop him at the highway intersection so you don't know whether he walked up the road and went to his apartment? Because you know who else lived up that same street? David Hall, his partner in Giddings. He lived on that dead end street too. So Jimmy Fennell could have walked up and gone to David Hall's house before he went home. It made it easy for Curtis to say, I don't know what time he got home, and Bryce didn't confront him to find out, did you drop him off? And if you dropped him off, you don't know what time he got home, because he could have gone to David Hall's house, or he could have gone home.
We know what time he got home because of Stacy's mother.
No.
Wait.
No,
Hold
you're
on.
talking about after the baseball game.
Correct.
Not after 10 o'clock, after he dropped off the pickup with Stacy's body in it. Now, here's what you also don't know.
10 o'clock. He was woken up in his bed at 6 o'clock.
What?
Jimmy Fennell
So when was he
got back
seen
from baseball practice between 8 and 8:30 Monday evening, according to Carol Stites.
Right.
Okay. Jimmy Curtis says Jimmy's was not home with Stacy all night, as he testified to. A witness in 2008 or 9, came forward, who lived over there behind the baseball fields, and told the producers of the documentary Framed that the dogs were barking about 9:30, 10 in front of her house. She went out on the porch. At the end of her drive, she sees Jimmy Fennell, Curtis Davis, Ed Salmela talking. Now, she knows them because the Ranger, Rocky Wardlow, is her 11-year-old son's baseball coach, Little League coach. She knows him.
Do you remember that lady's name? Do you remember
yes,
that lady's
I do.
name?
And I know her son. He's a grown adult. He used to cut my hair here.
And she was questioned during an appeal?
No, because she lives in Georgia. And because her son and grandkids live here, she's terrified that they'll seek retribution, because you know what happened the next day when her son went to baseball practice? Rocky Wardlow threw him off the team with no explanation, which made sense, because remember that old saying, out of the mouths of babes? Rocky Wardlow could see this kid in front of a bunch of parents walking up and go, Coach Wardlow, what were you doing out in front of my house Monday night? Yeah, that'd have been a big bomb, wouldn't it? So Wardlow threw him off the team.
Would that be a better thing than to kick him off the team? Would that cause him?
Well, he kicked him off the team. Nobody put 2 and 2 together until God, over almost 10, well, more than 10 years after the murder, when the producers tracked her down. And if you go online and pull up the documentary Framed under Rodney Reed, you'll see her testimony on camera.
That's Yolanda Felix.
But not under oath.
She's never that. You see, one thing you got to understand about Rodney's attorneys, they're careful of what witnesses they put before the court, and they're not. And let me tell you, I've just about had enough of Bryce Benjett and the Innocence Project. In fact, I'm talking to state senators and representatives, and I'm providing the documentation on the Innocence Project, because it was the Innocence Project that let that inmate who was executed
Larry
in 2019, Bryce Benjett, and the Innocence Project represented him too. And they knew that that judge didn't have an oath, and the order of execution order was void. They let that guy get executed deliberately. And I know this because I talked to the co-counsel, and he said, yeah, Dave, I told Bryce, and I was going to file, an action to stop the execution because the judge didn't have an oath, and Bryce told me not to do it, that it was a non-issue. He said, I had no idea. That's the Innocence Project. Anyway.
So, caller, Fish, one second.
Sure.
Caller, outside of reading the transcripts, did you look into anything else relating to this case?
Yeah, I've read a lot of what David Fisher has said via magazine articles. I've read a lot about from the Innocent Project, about their website. I have listened to your show when you broadcast about it.
Okay.
So I do, and I have spent time understanding the transcript as well. And I think that tell me this, Stu, if you can, what do you think is more valuable information? Is it information that has been gone through the process of a court where the defendant and the prosecution both get to analyze it, or do you think it's more relevant and more weighted information that is just spoken about outside of a courtroom?
Well, let me add something.
Hold on,
in
Fish.
here.
Wait. 1 second. First of all, since looking into wrongful incarceration in Texas, I have come to realize that what you read on transcripts, on court transcripts, seeing that it's just a text of what transpired in court, I have come to learn that they can't necessarily be trusted because of said case, wrongful incarceration. When my introduction to wrongful incarceration in Texas is not with Rodney Reed. It's with a man by the name of Richard Miles. Have you heard of him?
No, but I will give you that every case is different, and there are certain cases of wrongful convictions.
Cool. All right. So Richard Miles was 2019 CNN top 10 finalist in as CNN hero, and he started a foundation called Miles of Freedom in Houston, Texas. Just a quick overview. So there's him. There is a young lady right now who I spoke with as her attorney back in December, Nicole Barkus. She's doing time right now for vehicular manslaughter and injury. So there's that. And looking at that case also, she wasn't driving.
Yeah, so she's innocent.
Yeah.
Well, she wasn't behind the wheel.
She wasn't
when the
driving.
accident took place.
It was her vehicle.
It's not a crime to be
she was
as a
drunk,
passenger.
but she wasn't driving. So does that make her guilty?
I don't know. Like I said, every case is different.
And this is what I'm saying. And I'm not talking about every case. I'm talking about what I've come across as it relates to Texas judicial systems and what has happened, what has transpired in the Texas judicial system. And it doesn't stop there, though. It doesn't stop there.
Let me step in here just a little bit to the caller. Do you know what happened 30 days after this evidentiary hearing in July? Or right after the evidentiary hearing? The Attorney General who's been prosecuting Reed, who prosecuted his conviction back in '96 and fought his appeals all the way up to July 29th, 2019.
Lisa Tanner is still in the DA's office.
I'm sorry?
If you look on the Texas DA website, Lisa Tanner is still in the DA's office.
No, she's not.
She is. If
Nope.
you look on the
Nope.
website.
Well, the
Wait,
website hasn't
hold
been
on.
updated.
Hold on. 1 second, Fisher. I can point you to a website right now that has my picture up on it, saying that I'm broadcasting on that website, and I'm not. And I haven't broadcast on that website in
I know
3
there's-
years. So
There's-
something like that.
There's rumor that she has left the DA's office.
Oh,
but
yeah.
she still has a phone number and an email. And
Yeah, you see,
Again.
here's now.
I-
So you know who this woman is. She was the biggest prosecutor for the Attorney General's office. She handled the public corruption. She was head of the public
Yeah, I know. She
corruption
was there this
division.
summer, too.
She was everything. And she, on September 2nd, she's gone.
I don't know. Where did
And-
you get that information?
She posted it on her webpage.
She posted it on social media.
What did she say?
She said, well, something cryptic to the point. The
Cryptic.
Attorney General's office is in the rearview mirror. Oh well, onward and forward.
Doesn't
Now,
seem like
what I did is,
trustworthy piece of
understand.
information.
Understand, I'm a consultant. I deal with attorneys. I knew an attorney who just opposed her in a real high-profile murder trial out of Houston. I called him and asked him if he had heard. She says, oh, yeah, Lisa Tanner called me and told me. And I said, really? What did she tell you? She said, well, she had to resign because she couldn't work for a corrupt attorney general like Ken Paxton. I laughed my butt off. I told him that's the pot calling the kettle black.
Last time you were on with Stu.
I'm sorry?
But the issue is, you said this story the last time you were on with Stu.
Yes.
But I tell you that her name is still on the website, and I don't
Yes,
see
it
any,
is, and I know that. And you
official
see,
notice.
now understand, I'm part of the, I'm a member of the Texas District and County Attorney Association weblog. Now, this is where criminal district attorneys and county attorneys discuss their cases and ask for help, in prosecution and background on defense witnesses and the like. When somebody like Lisa Tanner leaves, because she's also a member and a very frequent blogger, well, they give tributes and discuss, and I mean, it's been dead cricket silence. And
With respect,
that,
David, you told this story last time you were on with Stu as well.
okay,
But
I'm just telling you, and I watch and I see that they still list her, but you know what? What I don't find any cases assigned to her. And see, I have the ability to monitor that. And
When was her
trust
last
me,
case?
I've been watching her for 20 years. The cases she's involved in, because I've been involved in several of them myself. So she's not there. The websites are not updated, and it may be very deliberate. But she's not
She's
with
still
the
listed
Attorney
as
General's
Associate
office.
Deputy Attorney General for Criminal Justice.
I'm sorry?
She's still listed as Associate Deputy Attorney
But
General
she's
for
not.
Criminal Justice.
She's not.
Okay.
Call them. Call the number. Ask for her.
All right. Yeah, it's 512-463-2170. Can you call it, Stu?
You're going to call at this time of the night?
Yeah, it's not
Well,
going to do you any good.
maybe you get a voicemail. I mean, she wouldn't have a voicemail if she was still working, right?
But look,
She was not working.
So you're saying that's
Yeah,
a number
this is a
for
minor
Lisa Tanner?
point, but
okay.
Wait,
Look.
let me hold on.
Go ahead.
1 second. So we've talked about a number of things. One of the things that I still don't have an answer to is going back to Curtis Davis. If he went and got some dental work done, where are the records of it?
Well, probably at the dentist's office. I mean,
Nope.
he's
And-
not involved with this criminal activity at all. So
He was questioned,
why do
and
you
they
think you would-
and
why
they
would-
were
why would you think
researched.
you would have
and
access
it's
to his dental records?
Well, it goes
No.
hand in hand with why he wasn't at work. But if he did go and do dental work, then why did he show up the next morning for work when he's supposed to go in that night? You see, it all comes back into play.
Yeah, if you look at it with a very jaundiced eye, I guess. But But listen, you guys, unfortunately, you're making things mountains out of things that aren't even molehills.
No, you're the one
have
that
you
asked.
never gone to your?
You were the
your
one
place
who
of work?
asked how.
Hold on, Fish. Hold on. Go ahead, caller. Make your statement, please.
Have you ever walked into your place of work on a day that you did not have to work?
Oh no, not me. No. Mm-mm.
Do you think?
No.
Do you think that could be something that no one would ever do?
Okay, again,
I know people
he's a
who
law
have done it.
enforcement officer, and he lied to a national broadcaster who he knew was going to do the story, and he was spinning a yarn, and he lied. And I'm telling you, that lie that he told to CNN is enough to get an officer, law enforcement commission, killed. Just that lie about him coming to work because he worked that day, and that spin, just that alone, could get your law enforcement commission killed.
He was punished for that interview.
Yes, he was.
So,
and do you know who did? And do you know who did the investigation? The wife of a Texas Ranger.
Yeah, but all those lies came out in the deposition.
Oh no! They never. No, they didn't disclose the investigation that of him interviewing with CNN.
Yeah, they did, and he said that he made assumptions based on when.
But you see,
other
but
friends,
he didn't. He did. You see, they didn't. They see. This is the problem with the Innocence Project working for Reed, and so you know, I'm talking to the legislature right now, senators and House members, about they're looking at drafting legislation to bar the Innocence Project from representing any more death row inmates in Texas over what they did to Larry Swearingen and the stuff that's coming out on Reed. See, they almost got Reed executed in 2019 also. The only thing that stopped that execution was me. You see, I filed on that judge in 2015 to stop that execution because the judge hadn't taken the oath of office.
Yeah,
and that's
okay,
mandatory
so
in Texas.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. Oh, yes, it is, and you'll see that. You'll see that real quick because I'm working on a couple of big cases about that. In fact, because of what happened to Larry Swearingen by that judge not taking the oath, we had an election November 2nd. There was a constitutional amendment added to that election that gave the Commission on Judicial Conduct for the first time authority over judicial candidates.
Well,
and those judicial candidates that they're after are retired judges and senior judges who haven't taken the oath. They are judicial candidates until they take the oath of office. And now, for the first time, the Commission on Judicial Conduct can go after these judges who haven't taken the oath.
Fish, I don't
Kevin,
even think you have to
earlier,
go over that because I think he heard that the last time right, caller? You heard, Fisher. You heard us talk about that also, right?
And here's the thing. I did hear you.
Okay, let me add something. Let me add something else.
Wait, 1 second. Fish.
No, Kevin. Let me throw this. The Chief Justice of the Texas Supreme Court started an investigation of J.D. Langley over his oaths on December 8th, appointing 3 judges from 3 different appellate courts to investigate Langley over his oaths.
December 8th, 2021?
2021.
Okay.
That's the first time that I've ever disclosed that. I have the order from the Chief Judge of the Supreme Court of Texas.
Caller, go ahead and make your statement.
Are you familiar with the Harris County Institute of Forensic Sciences?
The Institute of Forensic Sciences, yes. Oh, yes.
Yeah, it found that both the chief medical examiner and the deputy chief medical examiner lacked the determining characteristics of a public officer cited in relevant.
Oh, well,
judicial decision.
No, you're talking. That's the county attorney's opinion that was issued in 2011 after I had the long conversation with the first assistant criminal district attorney, who agreed with me that their medical examiner had to take the oath, and he refused. Now, You do a
So
little
as it
searching.
stands right
Why
now,
don't- let me throw this at you, because there's a case going on right now as we speak in Nueces County, Corpus Christi, where the oath issue is a very big deal, and it is a mess down there. And I've been involved in it since 2011. Part of this,
according to the Institute of Forensic Sciences, the role does not require an oath of office.
yes, and the Attorney General in 1965 said that until a medical examiner qualifies it, and I'm going to pull up that AG opinion right now so you can look at it yourself. And this is 1960. This is a 1965 AG opinion aimed at Tarrant County. Now, Tarrant County, that's Fort Worth, is the only medical examiner's office in this state that is required by law. All the other medical examiner's offices were created at the discretion of the Commissioner's Court, but Tarrant County is required by law to have a medical examiner's office. That AG opinion...
That's not the standing that's important. The standing that's important regarding that is
okay.
That,
the first medical examiner's. Let's listen.
Yeah.
The first medical examiner's office was Bexar County. Bexar County came into existence on July 1st, 1976, and on that day they held a ceremony. They swore in the medical examiner, and he took the oath of office. And 2 hours later, handled his first inquest, which was a suicide. Now, that was created less than a year after the statute came into existence. And then in 1965, Tarrant County went over the maximum population for a JP county with no medical school within its boundaries. And the district attorney requested from the AG, would it be legal for the JPs to continue to do the autopsies while they were establishing the office of medical examiner? And the Attorney General ruled back that the JPs would continue to have the authority to conduct inquests and order autopsies until, and here's the opinion. I'm going to read exactly what the AG wrote to them, to Tarrant County. It says the Office of Justice of the Peace in Tarrant County has the same authority to conduct inquests and order autopsies as it did prior to January 1st, 1965, until the Office of Medical Examiner is established and an officer appointed by the Commissioner's Court and duly qualified. That means in Texas, take the oath of office. Do you know why? Because inquests are judicial proceedings that are done with or without a jury. And all judges in this state have to take the oath of office, or all official acts are void and a nullity.
I know you say that, but truthfully, there's a standing that a
okay.
chief
Now
medical
you got
examiner.
your pen and paper. Let me give you two cases, because these are the two cases that even
Right.
the chief judges of the Supreme Court cite. The first one is 1999, Prieto, Prieto, bail bonds versus state. And in that ruling, the courts ruled on remand from the Court of Criminal Appeals, the 8th Court of Appeals, on remand, that a retired visiting or senior judge assignment to a case is an appointment under the Constitution of Texas, and all appointments must result in the taking of the oaths, or all official acts are void and a nullity. And in that opinion, they cite French versus State from 1978, which is a Corpus Christi case, where the court ruled that if a judge does not take the oath of office, he cannot be de jure or de facto. For judges, the oath is mandatory before they have any authority under the law.
That
and
covers
if they
both.
don't take the oath before they enter on the bench, every act is void and a nullity.
And that covers medical examiners as well as
right, medical
judges
examiners
that
are
wear
judges,
the robe.
and that's exactly
Well,
right.
no,
And see,
as far as that Harris County Institute of Forensic Sciences said, that the chief medical examiner and the deputy
Right.
chief
That
medical
was
examiner
aimed
are
at
not
me.
characteristics of a public official.
But that
And
that
so
was aimed at
therefore-
me. Now wait a minute.
Well, whether it was aimed
Then-
at you or not, that is a standing thing. And
But
you can't
but
say
wait
that-
a minute. Wait
that-
just a
that
minute. In
if it-
in
if there's a
2008.
decision
Wait a
that
minute.
that is
In
not- that is the
2008.
case, there's no oath.
Wait,
needed.
gentlemen, hold
You
up.
can't say that everything that the person did, even though you think they should have had an oath of office. You can't say that everything is
Yes.
void.
Yes. There are. See, let me explain
But if
how
the
it works.
Constitution says it, then why can't why can't
let
that
me
be the case?
Now, see, let me explain how it works. In Texas, everybody but judges, whether they be a senator, governor, House member, appointed official, elected official, if you don't take the oath of office after your appointment or your election, your official acts are still considered binding, even though you may be later removed for not taking the oath. But that doesn't hold with judges, because judges have the sole authority to deprive a citizen of liberty and property. No other elected or appointed official unilaterally has that power. That's why judges are required to take the oath before any of their acts are valid, because of what they can do to a citizen. That's the difference. Now, in 2008, Harris County went to every medical examiner county in the state and asked them to write amicus briefs to the First Court of Appeals in Houston to argue that medical examiners are judges when conducting autopsies and inquests. In 2009, the First Court of Appeals ruled that the duty of a medical examiner is to conduct an inquest with or without a jury in all of the enumerated deaths under the statute. And the statute lists everything but a natural death under a doctor's care. They went on to rule that autopsies in Texas are discretionary. They aren't required. It is the judicial inquest that's required. That's why medical examiners have to take the oath. And right now, if you do a Google search under Nueces County Medical Examiner, you're going to find a firestorm going on down there. And you'll see an interview with me. Now the county attorney is talking to me on this to get all the preliminaries. They don't understand the law. I've had two-hour conversations with them, where they are, they want to know the statutes under the Constitution. They want to know the AG opinions. They want to know the court cases and rulings. In fact, I just sent out a big report to them. Additionally, the medical examiner's in trouble. They've already fired the deputy.
All right.
And
David.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. I mean, I'm looking at something from, the state of Texas says the medical examiner is not an appointed officer, and that's
Arredondo in 2014. Is that Arredondo?
That is Vince Ryan, county attorney.
Okay, that's a county attorney's opinion.
Right. So
and wait a minute, because at the same time, right after that, do you know what Harris County did? They went to the Fifth Court of Appeals in New Orleans, federal court, to try to stop a defendant from suing a deputy medical examiner, claiming that the medical examiner is a county officer that has qualified immunity. They've done it twice. They did it again just last year.
All right. Well, you
yeah,
think
because
that,
see, the attorneys in these other states are asking me for these, and they're going, oh shit, well, they wrote this opinion, and then they turned around and argued the opposite in 2009, and then this in 2011, and then in 2013 they went to the federal courts and argued that medical examiners and their deputies are county officials. You see how it works?
All right.
Don't trust.
I appreciate you giving me the time that you've given me, and I have a couple more, but I just.
Well, anyway, I tell you what you do. Watch Corpus. There's going to be another story tomorrow on this medical examiner issue.
If you don't mind, I mean, the thing is, this is like we're watching the Bengals and the Rams, play, and at the end of the game, one of the team wins, and you come in and say, well, you know what, one of the officials wasn't properly certified because he left his name off.
This is more on the lines of your biblical story of David and Goliath, me against the state, and there's going to be somebody's going to be left, dead on the ground. The issues with the state is going to be dead and buried, and they know it. And see, the legislature right now in Texas, the senators and the House members are all acknowledging now that medical examiners are judges. See, the state has lost this argument.
All right. I'll let you go and maybe talk to somebody else.
Just remember, I deal with these people.
I appreciate that,
and
David,
I'm not a groupie who
the coin. I can't understand how you point to Curtis Davis and make sly innuendos that he was in on something, but no, he just drove someone home, but no, he was kind of in on something.
I'm telling you, I don't have any evidence that he knew what he was doing. All I know is he
certainly make the innuendo.
I'm sorry?
I'm sorry.
You
certainly make the innuendo.
I'm sorry, but the innuendo is there. If you lie on an interview and in a national news organization and you lie to them about you going to work, he was going there to meet Jimmy Fennell that morning to stay with Jimmy Fennell.
I'm not talking about what he did. I'm talking about what you do. You say that Curtis Davis was somehow in on it and he lied. But then he also, called out Jimmy and wrongly, falsely, kind of made him look guilty.
So, caller, wait. I'm not hearing where Fish is calling out Curtis on anything other than what he actually did.
Well, he says he shows up in the morning,
which is what he did.
Out of nowhere. But he blankets that in innuendo that he did it because, Jimmy needed a ride
he
home.
lied to CNN why he was in Bastrop that morning, and that he was there for Jimmy.
It's not a big deal.
He knew that, and see, you got to understand.
But it does make it a big deal.
No, it's not. I mean, he was there to work. He was there to visit. Friend, he was there
let me just give you a quick little. Let me give you a quick 1 hour rundown before Jimmy, was at that jail with Curtis Davis was at the jail at 8 o'clock for Jimmy. Jimmy Fennell got the call from Carol's mother a little after 7. He jumped in her car. He drove to Bastrop. It's a 30-minute drive going the speed limit, but nobody drives the speed limit, here in Texas. I don't know where you're from, but in that run, you don't do the speed limit, no reason to. But he gets to Bastrop, he goes to the H-E-B parking lot. He didn't get out and talk to anybody. He does a U-turn and beats a path back to Giddings, arriving at Giddings around 8 a.m. You know what's significant about that? He goes straight to the bank and closes his bank account that Stacy and Jimmy were using jointly. Then,
doesn't that make sense if his truck was stolen and his checks were in his?
No, absolutely not, because that's a joint account, and if she's dead, the bank, as soon as she's pronounced, her body's found, they're going to seal that account pending probate to determine whose monies are who, because Stacy's monies, they're not married. Stacy's money belonged to her estate. Jimmy took it, pocketed it. And then he didn't pay for her wedding dress. Her sisters had to go back and pay the balance on the wedding dress that Jimmy picked up.
You really brought up the wedding dress.
He stole this wedding dress, and I thought that was brutally.
I talked to the owner of that bridal gown shop, and she told me that Jimmy promised her he wanted Stacy buried in the wedding dress. So he promised the owner of that bridal gown that he would pay off the balance. He took the dress, buried her, and never showed up again. Stacy's sisters had to pay for the
$25,
balance.
right? He owed another $25 on it.
So caller,
It was minor.
Wait,
but
hold
that's
on, hold on, Fish. 1 second. Caller, if I borrow $20 from you and I never return it, I never repay it.
And you're dead.
No. I'm alive.
I don't look for it.
No. I'm alive.
No. Well, Stacy's dead.
Listen to what I'm saying.
Paying for the dress,
Here's my
Stacy
question.
died.
Here's my question. If I borrowed $20 from you, say I'm going to repay it, never do. Did I borrow it or did I steal it? Based on
You
our
borrowed it,
agreement.
and you didn't pay it back
So it's still a loan.
because you were dead. Because
No.
Stacy was dead.
I'm saying I'm alive.
But you
That's
see,
crap.
wait a minute. This is an agreement between Jimmy Fennell
Based
and the
on our-
bridal ground owner.
So-
This is not between Stacy and the bridal ground.
is.
No, because Jimmy
There's
Jimmy
$25 left over.
Jimmy
No.
wants to take possession of the dress, and there's a balance
no, he
due.
doesn't.
So he makes
He
Jimmy
doesn't want
makes
to
the
take.
agreement.
He doesn't want to.
Look,
want to
I'm
take
sorry,
possession of the
but this is over. If you're not,
Wait,
if
hold
you're
on.
so dishonest as to pull that little game,
Oh, I'm dishonest.
I've
You're-
had enough.
So
you call Stacy a thief, and I'm dishonest.
No, Jimmy's the thief. Jimmy's a peace
No, you
officer.
said
He
he was
lied.
not-
He
you-
lied to the woman who owned the company to get possession of Stacy's dress that wasn't paid off. He entered into an agreement to be responsible for the balance, and then he stiffed her. And he's
Can you
a police
imagine?
officer,
Can
and
you
he did the
imagine?
same thing to the apartment complex, which you don't know about. He
Can
broke
you imagine?
the lease.
Can you imagine your life if someone who you were just about to get married to gets murdered and raped, and you're on antidepressants?
Was she
and
raped?
the
Look,
world
I
goes by, and
I have a pretty good idea who you are, and you live here in Bastrop.
You have no idea. No,
No,
I
no.
don't. You don't know.
That's
you always
that's
think that
fine.
wait,
That's
Lisa,
fine.
hold up.
That's
Lisa,
fine.
Lisa O'Brien,
I've
Lisa-
played your game. I played your game, and
Well, you don't know who I am.
You're intellectually dishonest. You can't
No,
admit
you
when
are.
a police officer makes an agreement to take over the debt of his deceased fiancée, and then doesn't make due on that.
$25.
Then what he did is he stole
does it
the
matter
dress.
the
And he
amount?
said,
Does it
he's a
matter?
police officer.
Wait, hold on. 1 second.
Yeah.
You check, and see if you haven't. There aren't. Let me see. What's his name? Why can't I remember his name now? All he
one?
did, don't know. This black guy that ended up doing a ridiculous amount of time for stealing something cheap and insignificant. So is it being $25? It doesn't matter. If it's theft, it's theft. And this is exactly what happened with this guy that did time. And I can't remember his name now for the life of me. Now, understand this. The point that Fisher is making is, here it is. Jimmy walks into this bridal shop and says, listen, my wife
Supposedly.
wanted to wear
We have
this
no real
dress.
proof of this.
Come again?
We have no proof
Look,
that Jimmy ever
this
really.
is look. He's putting, a burden of proof, in this discussion that would be, equal to beyond a reasonable
how much-
doubt. When
do you know
he's
how
not,
much-
when
do
he's
you know how
not a
much the-
party, he won't tell you who he really is, and he's not.
I
and
don't care
he's
who.
acting like he's not.
I don't
a
care
party
what
to
his
this,
name
that he's
is,
an-
Fisher. It
he's
doesn't
a
matter. He's a caller that has a view, a point of view, and I gave him the
Nothing to do with
opportunity
this case.
to
And nobody-
share it.
I don't have anything to do with anybody involved with this case. I'll tell you really quickly, and I don't want to monopolize all your time because there might be other people.
Yeah, there
But
was
here's the
someone
thing.
trying to call just now, by the way. Yes.
Two or 3 years ago, I heard about this story.
Uh-huh.
And I heard that Jimmy Fennell, was suspected. And I thought, how awful is this? And then I did get access to the trial transcripts. And I thought, holy cow. I mean, I don't want to argue with you two, but geez, to me, the situation is, it's Occam's razor. It makes a little bit more sense that Rodney was involved with the murder than it does that 5 or 6 women lied for whatever sundry reasons. I don't want to get into it.
Did you
But
see
it does
the
make a
state?
little bit
Did
more
you see the
sense.
State versus Reed documentary? Have you played that?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I've seen everything.
That was the first one.
I've seen everything.
Now,
that's
in
on
that
YouTube.
documentary, I point out that the documents that I pulled from the state on the records on the vehicle show that Jimmy sold it the very next day. That
That's
he
a
didn't.
lie.
That the state did not have it. Well, wait a minute.
That's a lie.
Just in 2001, I finally got the internal records where the head of the DPS that controlled the crime lab, that controlled all the evidence, the head of this operation, acknowledges that they have no record of signing the truck in or out, processing it in or out. None.
You and your records. I mean, there's no
No,
record
this
of an
is
oath of office. There's no record
this is in his report done in '96 that I just got this last year. In '96, the head of the crime lab at the DPS in Austin that would have processed the truck disclosed that he has no records of the truck being logged into the crime lab or out.
But there
That's
is documented.
That's an essential element
No.
of evidence
Yes,
is chain
the
of
signature would
custody.
be really good, but it is part of the court record that described the truck that was taken from the high school to a local tow shop and then transported to the Texas
Yes,
CPS
but you
crime
see,
lab.
you have
And
to
the
read
record
the
shows
that-
you have to read the reports that weren't
No,
entered
no, I
into
don't.
evidence that shows that they didn't process it. And then the
Again,
pictures.
you-
There
you're-
are no
you're the
pictures. There are no pictures of the crime lab processing the truck. None.
There are.
No, they have the pictures.
What pictures?
They have the pictures that Ed Samala took at the Basco's record yard when Fennell brought the keys and they opened it. Those are the only pictures of the inside of that truck. Nothing with the crime lab processing it. None of it.
No measurements of the fluid stain
No
on the
measurements,
floor.
no tapes, no nothing.
No pictures.
You believe that that there weren't more than one day that went by between when the car was examined and then brought to the Texas TPS and the Austin crime scene team processed it. You believe that that's all a lie?
Let me ask another question in relation to this. Is there any information? Is there any record of any such thing happening?
Yeah.
Where?
In
the court transcript?
If you read the transcripts,
Where is that
Court
actual
transcript is a big
document,
crime.
though? Where's that actual document that says, here it is, the truck is checked in. Here it is, the truck is checked for whatever. Here it is, the
Well, you
truck
see,
is logged
here's
out.
the-
Where
Kevin,
is that record?
Kevin, here's the thing. We as a public aren't due every shred of red tape and paperwork. We're not due it. You know, I mean, this it's like everyone screams about Jimmy's apartment, Jimmy and Stacy's apartment not being searched. Well, you know what? In order to search your apartment, you need probable cause. And
This is
They
the
have
last place she was
You
seen
might think-
alive. It's the last
you
place
might-
she was
you
seen
might- you
alive.
might
Why
think
isn't
they
there? What more cause do you need?
because the crime obviously took place outside.
Where's the proof of that?
So you're law enforcement, are you?
I'm not, buddy.
Wait,
I'm just-
hold on, Fish. Hold on, Fish. 1 second. Caller.
No,
Wait, Fish. Hold on 1 second. Caller, where's the proof that the crime took place somewhere else?
No, where's the proof that Stacy isn't walking around and she's fine right now?
What?
Yeah, see,
I'm telling-
this is where you run
No,
up
this is-
against
this is
somebody
where-
who's not an honest player here.
What kind of
Who
question
is-
is that?
no,
Wait,
you're-
Fish.
this is-
Wait, Fish. Wait. Hold up.
You call
Hold on.
Stacy a thief. You should be ashamed of yourselves.
What?
What?
Who called Stacy a thief?
You call You did, because of the
Who?
wedding dress.
Stacy made no arrangement to keep the wedding dress. She's dead. She made no arrangement to keep the wedding dress. It wasn't her arrangement to be buried in the wedding dress. If she was alive, she would have paid for her wedding dress. She had been making payments, right?
Yeah.
That is why there's a balance of $25
And
or 20
$25
whatever dollars.
and
I showed the
$25
receipt.
worth.
I showed the receipt.
Yeah.
I have a copy of it in my files. So
Yeah, I've seen it.
nobody called her.
$25.
Nobody called her a thief. Here is
Yeah,
where
David
here is
had
where
in
the
the past.
accusation of someone not fulfilling their obligation as per a gentleman's agreement. This is where
So
Jimmy
why didn't the
Fennell
shop
comes in.
owner, Why didn't the shop owner report it to the police?
Listen, ask the shop owner. This is the information that we have. Here's the question. Here's the thing, caller.
Wait a minute.
Wait, no,
Jimmy-
no, Fish.
look,
No,
Jimmy didn't Jimmy
don't.
didn't honor it, but the family did in short order.
Fish.
When the family found out that Jimmy
So
didn't
they were paid.
honor, they went and did it themselves.
Fish. Don't.
So nobody. So
no.
Jimmy didn't know anyone anything.
No. What did Jimmy Fennell?
You just said that.
Did Jimmy
that the
Fennell
dressed person was.
follow up on his promise? He said he'll come back and do the balance, regardless of what the
But her-
balance is. Did he do it?
But Stacy's family did.
Did Jimmy
when he
Fennell
didn't.
Giving him
Fish?
$25.
Hold on, caller. I'm gonna ask you this one more time. Did Jimmy Fennell do it? Yes or no?
No, because
Okay.
her family did.
No, not because her family did.
In spite of him not doing it, the family did.
Come on. Listen, there's a
Well,
point.
they must be different.
There comes a point. There comes a time where you just have to stop. And I understand that you have an opinion and you hurt for Jimmy because his wife ended up his fiance ended up dead. But guess what? You're missing the side of it where it could have been the jealous fiance that killed her.
Yeah, but I've read a lot about the opportunity, the motive, and it just wasn't there.
Okay,
It wasn't
tell me
there by
something.
the
Tell me
people who
something.
were closest.
Hold on.
It wasn't there, buddy.
What wasn't there?
Motive.
His opportunity to have committed this crime wasn't there.
Right.
The fact that, but he had the opportunity. She was right there in the house. He was the last person to be seen with her alive.
And her mother said that she heard her walk down the steps in the morning.
No, she didn't.
That's a
No,
lie.
she did not. No, she did not.
She did on Facebook.
No, she did not.
She said exactly. I'll
No,
send it to
she
you.
didn't.
I'll send it to you. What Carol said. It's true.
Oh,
Carol did not say that she heard.
is it true that
Stacey
Carol
leave
said it,
that
or is
morning.
it true that it
Yeah.
happened? Hold on. Is it true that Carol said it, or
Oh.
is it true that it happened?
So Jimmy's a thief and her mom's a liar. What else do you guys want to put on these guys?
Look,
Wait.
Carol Stight. Look,
You
Carol
wanna
Stight told me-
ask her own niece? Her own niece has come on the show and said that
Her own
she's
niece who hadn't seen Stacy in years.
When was the last time you saw her?
When did I see Stacy? I've
No.
never met her. Never had
Auntie
never had
Carol.
the opportunity because of Rodney Reed
Auntie Carol.
murdering her.
Auntie Carol. When was the last time you saw her?
I've spoken to her just on Facebook. I'm not anywhere near Texas, and I'm not involved with the case at all. But I have spoken with her.
Good for you. I've
I
spoken.
mean,
I've spoken
not-
with
not
Heather.
that-
I've spoken with Heather Stubbs.
who really didn't spend any time with in who Carol doesn't have any nice words to say about her.
who was at the funeral, who
And
has
your
been in
point is
touch
what?
and visited her aunt since Stacy's
How
death.
about before the funeral? When was the last time she saw?
She's not the only relative.
Stacy
She's not the
before
only,
funeral?
Heather Stubbs isn't the only relative that says Jimmy is slime and Jimmy was the one that did it. Heather's the one that came forward on this broadcast and said it.
Yeah, and nobody who is close. Not her two sisters. Or her
Understand
mother.
this. Understand this. When Rodney was arrested, Heather was one of the first to say, "Let's burn him at the stakes." She was one of the very first to say, "Let's go, execution."
I don't know if
And-
you could say that. I
and,
don't know if she's really on the record saying that or just
you
something she said.
go
to you.
go back and listen to that broadcast again, and you will hear it
Well,
from
that
her own
broadcast
lips.
is 20 years.
Understand
The
this.
broadcast is 20
Underst-
years after the murder.
And your point is what exactly? Because we're still talking about this
Well, I don't know.
particular case
So-
20 years after the murder.
I don't know what she said.
I'm telling you
on
what she said.
The week that
I'm-
she was murdered. I know what you told
I'm
me,
telling
but
you
go
what.
ahead.
Right. This is what Heather said.
Right.
And she went and looked further into it.
Mhm.
So what would make her the cousin of the deceased want to change her mind? How does that benefit her?
Because if she agreed with you, if she agreed with the idea that it was Rodney, then she wouldn't have been on your show. I don't think.
So it is because she agreed with Rodney that she was on my show?
Right. Would you have had her on?
Is that what
if
you're
she-
saying?
If she thought that, would you have had her on if she thought that Rodney did it?
I would have Carol Stites on if she would come on. I
Would-
am not
would
about
you would-
I am not about taking a side. I'm about the facts of what happened. So come and talk
So
to me
besides me, how
about
many
the
people have
facts.
you had on? Besides myself, how many people have you had on that plead the case of Rodney being guilty and Jimmy having nothing to do with the murder?
Listen, caller. Just like how you could call and say something, they can call and say
Yeah.
something. I have an open line for anyone
Yeah.
to come and say put their 2 cents. And it is fine. I don't have a
Right.
problem with you taking a position that Rodney is guilty. I have no problem with you taking
I
that
appreciate
position.
it. I appreciate it.
This is your position.
Very good. I appreciate that.
It's not necessarily mine because of the information that I have been privy to.
Right. But have you read the transcripts of the case?
The transcripts of the case is not important to me. Again, the transcript is a record of what took place in the trial. So if
Right.
what
It
took
is a
place,
record
if
of
what
what
took
the-
place in the trial,
Okay, let
What
me
the
let me
defense
let me
said.
step in here, Kevin. See, in the transcripts, you had Lisa Tanner grilling Rocky Wardlow. She asked Rocky Wardlow if they took gunpowder hand wipes on Ed Somala on his suicide. Rocky Wardlow said yes, and the results were negative. I filed a records request with the Attorney General's office, with the DPS, with the Bastrop Sheriff's Department, with the Bastrop Police Department, with the Travis County Medical Examiner's office, and it's a circle. The DPS says the Sheriff's office said it. The Sheriff's office said the Medical Examiner's office did it. The Medical Examiner's office said the Bastrop Police Department did it. The Bastrop Police Department said it was the Attorney General's office that did it. The Attorney General's office says it was the DPS and the Texas Rangers. Nobody
You're talking
did
about- you're talking
gunpowder
about Ed
hand
Somala.
wipes on Ed Somala.
So what does that have to do? I guess I know.
She suborned perjury, and the Texas Ranger committed perjury, saying that he did, and the results were negative. And
So she never
and
does
the DPS,
anything.
the DPS crime lab said they never took them. The medical examiner said they never took them, and that's where you take them. The medical examiner's office does the wipes and gives them to the Texas Rangers to process. I have other cases where people have been shot that the Rangers have taken gunpowder hand wipes, and I have them. But in this case, no gunpowder hand wipes were taken, and the Ranger lied under oath.
Again,
They didn't-
you're
they
talking
didn't do
about you're talking about an umpire or a referee not having something done in a different game. You're talking about Ed Somala.
wait,
No,
wait,
this
wait,
is
wait,
in
wait,
the-
wait,
this
wait,
is in
wait,
the-
wait, wait,
Go ahead.
wait, 1 second. Are you saying that Ed Salmella's death is in no way linked to the death of Stacey Stites? Caller?
Which, yeah, I'm trying to imagine. You know, I know that you guys have weaved a web all around that,
You guys.
but it's pretty. You and Mr. Fisher.
Wait,
So
I spoke
you
with
realize
I
that
spoke with
Ed-
Scott Salmella. He didn't show up
You
on the
spoke
broadcast,
with-
but I spoke with Scott Salmella.
Yeah. Did he talk to you about the suicide note that was left?
What?
No,
The
they've never seen.
suicide
Nobody's
note.
ever seen the suicide note. Nobody. Not the Samela family. I know.
What
I
suicide?
know the Samela family, and I've talked to them, and
Wait,
none of them have ever seen it.
wait, hold on, Fish. Did you talk to him about the suicide note?
You talking to me?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, but
So-
from what I understand, there was a suicide.
From what you understand, from where?
From reading.
Reading
From
what?
Rocky
Many
Wardlow, the Ranger, Texas Ranger, said.
Wait, no, Fish. Please do not answer his question.
I think it was in the actual paper when before it was any connection to Stacy Stites. There was a connection. It was showed in the paper that his girlfriend had just broken up with him. He was down and out. And I know that there's all this thing. He was right-handed at his left temple and
Okay.
all that stuff.
All right.
But again, we're talking about
Again, caller.
I think,
again.
I think yeah. To answer your question, yeah, I don't think he had anything to do with Rodney Reed raping and killing Stacy Stites.
Caller, again. Did you talk with Scott Salmella?
I did not.
So
I
you
guess you must
what
be right, and I must
what
be wrong.
what you are commenting on is something that you read somewhere.
Correct.
Okay.
And
I
it was
spoke
reported
with
in the
Scott
newspaper.
Salmella. 1 second, please. I spoke with Scott Salmella. He didn't come on the broadcast as he was scheduled to do. But I spoke with Scott. And Scott told me what his brother was doing. Scott told me of his brother taking laundry to the laundromat to be picked up later on that day. Scott told me of his brother taking money out of the ATM because he's going to go gambling. Scott told me about these things happening. Scott told me about his brother not being able to use his left hand to do anything, let alone pull a trigger to kill himself. If you are going to kill yourself, would you choose, again, now using the very same scenario, you're going to shoot yourself in the head
Yeah.
because you are at your wit's end. Your puppy died and your girlfriend left you, and your siblings don't like you and whatever else, and you're going to kill yourself, and you want to make sure that you die, and you're going to choose the least suitable way to do it.
Yeah, you realize that people who kill themselves aren't really all that sane.
Okay, but
Wait,
let me
Fish,
no, let me,
fish, hold on.
Okay.
Fish, hold on. You're saying that people who kill themselves are not what?
Are not usually functioning rationally.
But they're going to be irrational about the way they listen. I live in South Florida. There's a train called the Tri-Rail. Several times I've been delayed on this train because people have decided to kill themselves by way of stepping in front of this train. So you're saying that they would make a mistake and step in front of the train because it's a surefire way of killing themselves?
Am I saying that? I'm certainly not saying that. I didn't quite
So
follow it.
why would someone shoot themselves in the head with their offhand when they do very little with that hand? They can't even hold a knife properly. Come on, listen.
Who knows? I mean, he could have
Make it
held
make
a
sense.
gun to his head about 15 times that day and not pull the trigger. He might have
So
thought that he was going to go gambling.
So
but
he's-
walking past a gun.
Why is he going to be? What is he going to be upset about? Why is he going to take the money out
there
of his
any-
ATM to go and go gambling and have it there? For what? He had a
well,
date.
I mean-
He had a date. The date called. His brother spoke with his date. She was asking him what happened. He was the one that told her that he's dead.
Well, I guess Jimmy killed him too. Then I guess is that where we're going with
Who
it?
said that Jimmy killed him? Who said that?
I don't know. Who did? Who killed Samela then?
Well, let me step in here. You see, Ed Samela was indicted the day before he died by a grand jury here in Bastrop. Do you know that?
I believe so. Yeah, it's good
He was
reason to
indicted
do so.
for making terroristic threats to his girlfriend.
Right.
Now,
Very
this is in August of '96. Do you know what happened in April of '96? The 1996 Anti-Terrorism Act went into effect that required anybody who makes terroristic threats or domestic violence had to surrender their guns. The day before Ed's death, he surrendered his .45 caliber chrome pistol and his shotgun and his ASP, his nightstick, to the Bastrop Police Department. I have witnesses who were there and saw Ed surrender his gun. That gun he allegedly used the next day to commit suicide was in the possession of the Bastrop Police Department. When I had
was it Jimmy who killed him?
I'm sorry?
Was it Jimmy who got the gun?
No.
And killed Ed?
No. Do you know who Ed's roommate was in his apartment within 2 weeks of his death, who had been living with him, that had just moved out?
Was it Jimmy?
Yeah, no. Texas Ranger Rocky Wardlow.
Lead investigator on Ed Summer's death.
Right.
So Rocky
who was a suspect, and yet he conducted the suicide investigation and declared the death a suicide.
So he killed him.
But he was Ed's roommate.
Suicide.
I'm sorry?
So Rocky.
When I confronted the DPS, do you know what they told me? They told me that Rocky, wait a minute, they told me that Rocky Wardlow told them that he felt sorry for Ed, so he gave him the gun back that same day that he surrendered it, in violation of federal law.
So Kevin,
What?
Mr. Fisher, how does that connect to Stacy's death?
Right. Well, because
who was the first person?
Ed was,
who was the first person?
Kevin, this is because Ed was preparing to turn state's evidence. He had set up a meeting with the FBI in Louisiana while he was there, and they couldn't let him out of the county. Ed figured out what happened. Ed was played, and he figured it out, and he died. Just like the same thing happened to the Giddings police officer who was conducting his own investigation of Jimmy Fennell killing Stacy, and he died in October '96.
Well,
he also was found dead.
Tell us that Rocky killed Ed.
The neighbor, wait a minute, the neighbor who last saw Ed alive just a few minutes before he died, and I mean less than 5, more like 3, talked to Ed outside his apartment. He lived next door. He was moving. He and his wife had just bought their first house. He and Ed talked outside Ed's apartment after Ed got back from the ATM. And Ed was going to Louisiana to visit a girlfriend and gamble. He was also to meet the FBI. They shook hands, and the guy went into his apartment, Ed went into his, and then a minute later, he heard the gunshots. He ran out of his apartment, ran to Ed's, banged on the door and checked the doorknob, it's locked. He ran back just right next door to his apartment, called 911, reported it, and went back to Ed's apartment, and guess what? The door's open, and guess who's standing in the doorway? Texas Ranger Rocky Wardlow, and the door's not kicked open. Who, other than Ed, would have had a key to that apartment, other than Rocky, who had just been his roommate 2 weeks earlier?
And Rocky killed Ed
wait. At trial, Rocky Wardlow swore under oath that he was in Austin when he got the phone call, 30 miles away, and drove to Bastrop after getting the call. Everybody that rushed to the scene said Rocky Wardlow was there when they arrived, and they arrived within 5 minutes. But he swore under oath he was in Austin, 30 miles away, visiting his sister.
And Rocky killed Ed because of an FBI investigation into Stacy.
Because Rocky Wardlow was the one who staged the crime scene for Jimmy Fennell. And Rocky Wardlow's butt was on the line.
And Ed Summerlin knew this and was going to tell the FBI.
Ed Somla was the person who collected the evidence at the high school parking lot, right? You agree to that? Is that right?
Sure.
But you know
Sure.
what Rocky Wardlow did after Ed's death? He rewrote the
something
DPS. Wait a
to
minute.
people.
I have it, and I can give it to Kevin, and he can post it.
I have posted it on a previous broadcast.
I think
Yeah.
I've seen this before, too. I've seen it before.
Right. This is Rocky Wardlow
Wait.
rewriting the
Hold
evidence
on.
spreadsheet.
Hold on, Fish. 1 second. Let me interrupt you. Caller, do you think that information that I presented was manufactured?
About what?
Exactly
Kamala's
what
brother?
Fisher is talking about. The documents being rewritten.
I don't know.
'Cause you've seen it. I have shown it.
I believe I've seen it. I mean, this is
So,
a corollary.
Do you
the whole,
think that it
safety
was manufactured by Fisher or myself?
I wouldn't think that, no. But I also
And yet
think
it
that
says that Ed Somla didn't
it
cut
doesn't
wait a
amount to a
minute.
hill of beans.
That's the official record with the DPS showing that Ed Somla didn't collect any of the evidence. A Bastrop police officer by the name of Chris Walker, Sergeant Chris Walker,
Right.
collected all
Right, I
the
remember
evidence. I'm sorry?
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I do
Well,
remember.
you see,
I remember
I
seeing,
know Chris Walker,
yeah.
and I talked to him, and he threw a wall-eyed fit when I disclosed that to him. See, he had never seen that.
Yeah.
And he wasn't a Bastrop Police Department. He was a Bastrop Sheriff deputy who was at the
Bastrop
high
County.
school parking lot canvassing for Ed Somla. Curtis Walker couldn't collect any evidence because the crime scene was in the city limits of Bastrop. So they were just canvassing. When they found evidence, they couldn't touch it. They went to Ed, told Ed, and Ed then came over, had it photographed, and collected it. But after his death, Wardlow removed Ed from the case, falsified the report, put other people's names on it, and then wrote out evidence and added evidence that was not collected.
Such as
That's your Texas Ranger.
what the manipulation of that report. What did they do to it?
Oh, nothing. Now, get this.
Wait.
Wait,
But the
no,
clothes,
no,
the clothes were
let
written
me
out.
go a little further on this. When I saw this, see, I was brought into this case by the Smithville Times newspaper to look at this case. And I had the files. After I completed my investigation and they did their articles, once I was released from them, I then filed my own records request. And one of the things I requested from the Attorney General's office was that DPS spreadsheet for the evidence collected at the high school parking lot. Do you know what Lisa Tanner did? She filed an exception with the Attorney General's office telling them that if they released that spreadsheet to me, that it would interfere with her ability to prosecute Reed's appeal. You think so? But see, what she didn't know is I already had it. I just needed to show that she understood the ramifications of it, which I have in writing.
And what was changed on the papers?
They changed the name of who collected the evidence from
That doesn't matter, really.
from the deputy who did, which was Ed
That means
Somla.
nothing.
What?
I'm sorry?
That means nothing.
How does that
Go ahead,
not
what else
mean
did they-
anything?
Oh, wait a minute. Then they removed evidence that was collected, key evidence,
Such as
and
The
then
bags of
added
clothes?
stuff that wasn't collected.
what did they change?
The bags of
They
clothes
they
and
wrote out
the check
They
carbon?
wrote out the bags of clothes that were in the pickup when it was first found at 5:30 a.m. by the police officer. He noted that
there were
there was
pictures
a
of
clear
two-
bag of clothes in the back seat. That was found in the
There's
dumpster when they came back at 7.
Right.
They removed those and nobody ever got to look at those bags of clothes. And then they added the check carbons that were not found to cover Jimmy Fennell closing the bank account.
That's pretty brilliant of them to say, "Oh, geez, we gotta do something with these check carbons."
Well, when they
Because
see
Jimmy's going to
you
close
know
his
what
account
you know what
because-
happened? They found out way after the fact that Jimmy closed the bank account. They didn't know he did that, so they had to scramble. And then 9 days later, after Stacy's murder, Jimmy Fennell goes, now that her body's found out in the country and it's a sheriff investigation, he meets with the detective, and I have that report, and Jimmy Fennell tells the sheriff detective that his checkbook, in his missing checkbook, there was a check made out to the tax assessor collector. There was that
Right.
he signed
You were
it, but
just
there was
talking
no
about
amount
the
filled
Fish,
in.
he
Wait,
knows this. He knows this. You don't have to repeat it.
Yeah,
to him. He knows this.
You were talking about this I think at the beginning of the show here tonight.
Right.
But
No, not on this
appreciate-
one.
No, Fisher has mentioned this on a number of broadcasts.
Yeah, you know what? I don't want to insult you, but you're
So
the
go
male
ahead.
version of Lisa O'Brien. It's just your opinion. It doesn't matter what the facts are. That
Oh, it does
you're
matter
an
what the
advocate
facts are.
for Jimmy Fennell,
Lisa-
so you
Yeah,
argue
no.
against everything, though you have no facts.
I don't.
You've
I don't
only
give-
read
I
the
don't give a shit
transcript.
about
You've
Jimmy
not
Fennell,
looked at the
by way.
official records. You haven't looked at the DPS
have.
reports. You haven't looked at the state's
I've-
records. But you're telling everybody that you know better than somebody who lives in the county, who was brought in to look at this case by the media, that
By
was
a
responsible for
newspaper.
removing Bayardo as the medical examiner in 2006-07, who's removed 10 chief medical examiners in Texas and shut down 2 medical examiners' offices. But you, reading a few transcripts, know more about the case than I do. And yet, I'm the one that the media interviews, hundreds of articles across the state, but you know more than me. And yet, attorneys,
I don't know that I.
for
I don't
my
know that
expertise,
I
and
know more than
judges
you,
too,
but I think my.
but
I don't use this case. You know, I don't talk to anybody about this case except for, you know, you guys and the Stites and some folks, you know, who grew up with Stacy.
and you understand,
So-
I don't have a dog to hunt in this case.
I think
You know,
do.
nobody
you do,
is
because-
paying me.
Wait,
I'm
hold
all
on.
about the truth. I'm just about the truth and the
Yeah.
profession and the protection of our criminal justice system.
One,
Where in Texas we
I-
have a lot more criminal than we have justice in this system.
I believe it.
Yeah.
Hold
The-
on,
There's
Fish.
justice in
What
and
do you
outside
think,
the system.
caller?
I mean,
What do you think his bone is? What do you think he has to gain from this?
well, he was on 2020, you know, national TV. He's burnishing.
He's not the only one.
A reputation, right?
And
He's-
I was the force behind A&E's TV Dead Again. All of that came out of my files. The interview with Dr.
And a lot
Botten, I had them interview Dr. Botten on this case. All the records that have flown from this case have flown through me.
But Fish, I
I'm-
want to know what he thinks you have to gain. That's what I want to know.
I think he just told you. Everything revolves around him.
No, I don't. Look, I didn't
No.
go out and seek out A&E TV. They came to me. Why? Because producers that had looked at this case, that had the records all tracked back to me. I'm the one that pulled the master file on this before the
Yeah, I'll
state
tell you-
realized what was going on. So if you want
I don't
the
mean-
actual...
I don't mean to be as combative as I'm coming off because, you know, here I am, you know, it's
Yeah,
late
you know
in the-
how
we're both
long...
talking about the
Do you
same
know how
thing.
long I consulted with 2020? For a
Yeah,
year and
I
a
know.
half.
You had a conversation with, I know.
And what they did, I had to produce every record, everybody that 2020 interviewed, be it Lisa Tanner, be it Carol Stites, be it the sisters, Crystal, you know, anybody. Then they came back to me to verify what they said for the records, for the actual records. and I would write the public records request for 2020 to file to get their copies, so they could get to verify my copies, that they would get the originals from the DPS. When they
Does that
would
answer
file
your
their
question,
public
Kev?
records request, the DPS wouldn't respond and would lie to them. So I would type up their request and give them to file to get the records. Because you got to know the nuances of the Texas system, or you're bucking against the wall.
So hold on, Fish. So, caller, what I'm getting
Yeah.
from you is that because David is saying he did this work, that is what he stands to gain from all of this.
Right. I mean,
So he's
saying
looking
that
for what?
everything flows through him. So I mean, that's a rationale.
Okay, so all right, I can very well and say I went ahead and I made sure that this broadcast happened. So this is all about me and has nothing to do with Rodney Reed sitting in jail and all those others that are wrongfully incarcerated in Texas based on similar situations. Now, me, I don't have anybody wrongfully incarcerated anywhere. I don't have anybody incarcerated anywhere, whether rightfully or wrongfully. What I
And I
have,
don't have anybody who's been murdered and raped either. But
what I have is a question about why do these things happen? And in
I
asking
agree
that
with you.
question, I'm getting some answers. You are on here giving your opinion on why you believe that this is not so. Now, I am on here. I created this platform and addressing this issue because I've seen where it is an issue, and I've never come across anyone that has presented me information about the case other than what is put out in the media or what is in a transcript. This is the first time I'm coming across something like this.
say
So-
that again.
I have never come across anyone who has presented information other than what is in a transcript or put out in the media.
You're saying that I'm the first guy that's come across that can actually produce the
Fisher
background
is the only
record.
person that has presented me some information. As in, one, making requests, and two, the responses to those said requests, whether it is to get the information requested or the response that says something along the lines of, you can't get it because it will interfere with the prosecution of my case. When the defense should already have this information because it's all about presenting the information, right? So everybody's supposed to have the same information, and it's
Yeah,
all
no.
about who argues it better.
I guess I agree to that. Information is good, but again, I'm going to go back to my comparison of much of what David's saying. And again, full respect for you, David, because I know you're smart. And you,
Oh yeah,
you
I
put the stuff
nothing. I
together.
don't take this personally at all.
Okay, good. Because
We're
the
arguing
things you bring
information
up,
here. That's what we're
like
arguing.
This Bayardo's getting paid from X or Y, and a judge or a witness not being not giving a oath of office. Those things
No, but
just
but
don't rise
Bayardo
up
committed
on the
perjury.
radar.
I mean, Bayardo lied his little butt off. Everything he said,
What did he lie
both to the
about again?
prosecution and the defense, was not true. He did not do the autopsy as the Travis County medical examiner. He did it as a private physician for money.
Again, okay,
He told
but
the
he did the autopsy. Who gives a shit?
I'm sorry?
Who cares where he got money from?
No, he
did the-
is
he
a
did the
county
autopsy,
official.
and then
He's a county officer.
Yeah, I don't care, but that's
Wait.
Wait a minute.
Small
Well,
stuff.
you don't
Wait,
care.
hold on.
What's important is the autopsy itself and what
No,
was
it's
found
not.
from that autopsy.
Not in
Yeah.
Texas, son. No, sir. In Texas,
Yeah, in every
autopsies
50
are
states.
discretionary.
In every
They are not required. It's the inquest. The
All due
judicial
respect, you're
inquest.
arguing over the referee's certification.
Wait,
At
one
the end of
second.
the Super
Caller,
Bowl.
once again. there are certain things that need to be taken into consideration when you're looking at this case. Being where the case is being tried or has been tried. This is based in Texas. Are you familiar with Texas law?
I know.
Well, let me
Wait,
help
wait,
you with
wait,
no,
wait,
let me
fish,
help
fish,
you with
fish,
that.
fish. Wait,
I know.
wait.
I know things. I read things like I read that the yeah. I mean, I'm not a lawyer and I'm not
Caller.
licensed in Texas. But what are you
Okay.
driving at?
Okay.
Do I know that there is such a thing as law in Texas? Yes.
So hold on. If there are certain things that refer to what happens based under the law that are not being adhered to, you don't know the law. These things can actually change the outcome of a verdict.
I
And
disagree.
you don't think that that is important?
I disagree that who Bayardo gets a check from or got a check from 20 years ago causes a ripple that results in anything significant.
Everything.
I don't
Okay,
believe-
Everything
now,
causes
Kevin,
a
now,
ripple.
now, look, caller, is all you have to do, because all of this is being argued right now in the courts. The whole aspect of medical examiners, of overpayments, all of this is ongoing in Corpus Christi. Now, what started out when I contacted the county attorney, when I saw the county had violated the Constitution back in December and paid employees a premium salary, which is absolutely forbidden in Texas. There are two separate parts of the Constitution forbids it. It's to prevent bribery of county employees and officials, appointed and elected. No appointed or elected official, once their salary is set every October 1st, may not be paid any additional monies over that salary. It's unconstitutional.
Yeah. This is trivial
And
pursuit.
then as I'm talking with the county attorney, and they're going, we didn't know this. Then the medical examiner's office blows up. And of course, I made their medical examiner take the oath of office in 2011. And now that very issue is back. And so right now, come Wednesday, the Commissioner's Court in Nueces County, Corpus Christi, meet over this mess they have with their medical examiner's office. And now the judges are coming into it over the oaths. And now the premium pay is in it. So now you have all the issues you just talked about all coming to a head in Nueces County.
But
over
the only thing
next
that's going to
month or
affect the
two.
Rodney Reed case is
It will
the,
affect every medical
affects
examiner's office in this
everything.
No, it
state.
won't.
That's just the
No, it
thing.
won't. The only thing that's going to affect the Rodney Reed case is the pleas that are in front of the court. None of that other stuff.
No.
Ooh, how
Ew.
so? Well,
Ew.
How much do you want to bet?
we're gonna
How much do you
switch
want to bet
gears.
that we'll
I have been neglecting some of, and
Right,
since I have
we've
you,
got
hold on.
we've got to move on.
Hold on.
You know, to
Because-
be fair to everybody else.
And Carla, I'm going to do another part to this tonight, and I'm going to invite you to come back on. Stay, just like how you got information on this, you'll see the information coming of when we're going to do another one. Because I'm enjoying what you're doing. I like
I appreciate that.
And not to say it from an entertainment perspective, not from that, from the perspective of those that believe otherwise, and why.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
that is what
let
is
me just
important
leave
to
you
me.
with this.
But here's this question that is posted in the stew
Okay.
pot. And for those that have been listening, all my affiliates pretty much have jumped off right now because they have scheduled programming. I'm 30 minutes over my scheduled time.
like
but
that never happens.
yeah, right? But here's this question posted in the stew pot. And it's a question, I guess, to you, Carla.
Yes.
How would the question it is worded. Ask him how Rodney would stop Stacy in a moving truck with no transportation of his own, and then have Stacy's decomposition fluid on the floorboard and leave no trace of himself in the truck, and somehow wipe his own fingerprints off it.
And nobody else's.
Yeah. Yeah. And tell me if Rodney always got into Stacy's truck because they went on lots of dates, why wouldn't his fingerprints be in the truck?
Well, if you never processed the truck, it would answer all those questions, wouldn't it?
Well, you're assuming that, but there is.
No, I'm telling
Okay,
you.
okay, wait, Fish.
What the
Wait.
DPS
Wait.
Okay, no.
So,
let me answer Kevin's question.
It's not my question. It's a question posted in the stew pot.
All right, let me answer
So-
the question. So, you know how Linda Schluter suggests that Rodney got in her car. You know that there are that Rodney probably did shop at HEB and probably, you know, got eye contact with Stacy. And the way Linda Schluter says that, you know, Rodney got into her car was by pleading that he was desperate and he needed a ride. And that could have certainly happened. There was no fingerprint.
And the district attorney discounted everything she said and dropped the charges against him, wouldn't even pursue them when
Oh, really? I thought
Schluter
he was
came
charged with
forward
taking
with
the car.
that story.
I thought
They-
he was charged. It's indicted for taking the car.
And they dropped it.
Where's the
Yeah, but he
charge?
was indicted for taking the car, right?
No. They never indicted him.
Where's the charge?
He was arrested for it.
He surrendered himself. They set the bond and released him, and didn't require the
For what?
bond, and they walked away from it. They didn't test any DNA. They did nothing.
But he was charged with absconding with her car.
No,
What?
no, they
There
dropped
were no
everything.
charges.
No. But was
That's
he
what-
initially charged with absconding with her car?
On the initial, they did, and then they looked into her cock and bull story, and they dropped it.
Yeah, everyone, all the five girls, ladies who testified against him. It was all cock and bull, right? From all dimensions.
Look, I looked at
fact
when
that
I
these girls came up.
look now, caller.
All right,
When
Occam's
I was
razor.
asked by
Occam's razor,
when
look
I
it up.
was asked to look at this case by the newspaper in 2001, in February 2001, I don't know Rodney. I don't know anybody, and it was just about the murder. I knew nothing about the case. I lived in Houston when this happened.
I know.
And
yeah,
so
you've said this
when I
before.
looked at this case and I saw the rapes, let me tell you, it rattled me just like it would you, because I have three sisters, and
Yeah.
I was disturbed, and I thought, why would I be working to help, you know, a rapist get off? And the reporter told me, well, look at the rape cases too, which I did, and when I started pulling the rape cases, it all fell apart fast.
Only Rodney was the innocent person. Everyone else is guilty of charging Rodney.
All the rape
accusing him.
cases tracked to one guy,
Wait.
David Board, who
Wait.
never. Now,
Hold
David
on.
Board never submitted the DNA
even the ones that
in any
happened
of those rape cases. He kept the kits in his little refrigerator at the police department for years, never turning them
Even the
over.
one that happened in Wichita Falls.
The one that happened, he was acquitted in that case. Now, I have the transcript.
Yeah, I know, but David Board was responsible for that one too, right?
No,
He wasn't.
Look, I have the statements
Somebody
of
else
the
was
witnesses
responsible.
in that case. I have the transcripts. I know the attorney that represented him.
Can
We're
you
good
give those
friends.
to Kevin? Can you give the transcripts of that trial to Kevin so he can?
Oh
post
yeah,
them?
absolutely. And would you like the statements
I appreciate
too of the witnesses?
Yeah.
So
And-
you
and I
mean
think
I can produce those too.
you want to see the acquitted transcript?
Yeah.
No, they're not edited.
You and I both know that the only reason that he got off of that is because his lawyer was good and dragged it out for 4 years, and that
No, the attorney didn't do it. The DA did it.
Yes. No.
What?
Now,
What?
do you know what happened to that DA? You know what happened to him? In
Doesn't matter.
2010, I went
His
after that medical
attorney-
examiner's office and I shut it down after it had been in existence for 30 years. And the DA resigned the 2 days before they shut down the medical examiner's office and went back to the JP system.
Wait,
Would you
Doesn't
like
matter.
to see
hold
those
on,
articles
hold on.
too?
Wait,
It was the
1
defense-
second,
it
1
was the
second.
defense lawyer that dragged out the case.
No,
One,
the
one
DA
second.
did.
Wait, 1 second, 1 second,
No,
1
it
second,
was-
1 second, 1 second. Hold on. Caller. I kind of lost track. Did you answer the question that I asked from the person listening in about how
Which was
your opinion on how Rodney stopped Stacy?
Oh yeah, I think I did answer that, didn't I? It was similar to what Linda. He stopped her because he probably feigned that he needed help, and she, being a nice person, started to help him, and just like he turned on Linda, although you'll say that Linda's lying, her testimony has quite the ring of truth to it if you read the transcript of her testimony. And so that was a modus operandi of Rodney. And
You ought to
Wait,
read
so
her
wait,
statement.
wait, hold on, Fish. So the people that actually saw Rodney and Stacy together laughing and having a good time, Joy
mostly
Munford,
related
Joy
people who
Munford,
were related to him.
Joy
Or
Munford
friends of the family.
talking with Stacy on the phone. None of that matters. Because if they already have this connection, why would he need to do anything that Linda Schluter was accusing him of doing with Stacy? Why would there be the need for that?
Because it's absurd, really, to think that Stacy, who was preparing for a wedding, would find the inclination to seek out, even casually, Rodney, who was known as a crackhead, who was known as a rapist, and even Rodney's dad tried to get a witness to support Rodney as being a good person. So what did that witness come back with? No, the only thing I want to say about Rodney is he rapes girls down by the. He's a crackhead who rapes girls down by the.
Okay,
railroad.
Rodney never did crack, ever. Never.
Wait,
Hold
on, Fish. Hold on, Fish.
How come his friend said that that's exactly
So-
what he and Stacy did?
Cocaine,
What?
not crack.
He said,
Very different.
what? What did he do?
Cocaine and crack are very different.
No, crack is cocaine.
No, it isn't. Crack
Wait, Fish.
is cocaine that has been processed in a particular way.
Crack is what?
Very different. And you
But
burn
it's
it.
cocaine.
Huh?
It's cocaine. You think that Rodney
Cocaine
never
and
did
crack are not the same thing, and they're
Right.
charged differently under criminal laws because they're not the same thing.
I'm just telling you what Rodney's
Just like
dad's friend said.
Opium is
I'm
not
telling you
heroin.
that I know that. I'm just telling you what Rodney's dad's friend said. I'm not telling you
No.
that I know that he did any types of drugs.
Yeah,
So-
God, I tell you, I don't know where you're coming up with this, this stuff, but I'm telling you.
Really? You don't know that?
It's-
You didn't hear that testimony or that affidavit?
And who did the affidavit?
I don't know. I will get.
I have virtually
I'll
all
get-
have all the affidavits, even
Never heard
affidavits that the state doesn't have in
I
this
never
case.
heard that Walter Reed asked a friend, and I don't have his name. I can't put my hands on it. Walter Reed asked a friend, "Would you support Rodney?" And his response was specific. I don't know.
I
if
have
it was-
never
Where did
seen
you
that
get that?
I've never seen that affidavit,
Caller?
nor have I. I know the Reeds.
Wait,
I don't.
wait.
I don't.
Hold
I
on.
don't get along with the Reeds, but I know them. And
Where
I've
did
met
you
with
get
Walter.
that, caller? Where did you get that
Yeah,
information?
I'm sorry. I wasn't really prepared to be sourced out right now. But I'll get it to you. How's that? I'll get it to your website.
Yeah, I'd
Please.
like to see that one
Please
myself.
go ahead. I'd love to
Yeah.
see that.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
who was the friend? Do you remember?
It was one of Walter Reed's friends, one of the dad's friends.
Yeah. Do you
Um,
remember which
he-
friend
he
it
was-
was? A name?
I don't.
Oh.
I will get it.
Okay. Cool.
I
I'll
will
wait.
get it to you.
I'll wait for it.
Okay. And anywho,
Yeah. But
what
but
now?
I guess
Now
my point
let me
that I was making-
yeah, I'm making a list. So to get to
Right.
Kevin, you want to see the Linda Sluter trial transcript. You
no,
want the
not
witness
legislature.
statements.
The
Would
AW.
you like
No. Angela.
the search
Angela-
warrants
Angela
issued
what?
on that
Angela
in
Hamby?
1980
Wait.
in 19
Hold up. 1 second,
I
David.
don't
said-
want anything from Linda Schluter. I have all that. But Angela Weiss.
Do you have her
I do
actual
have that.
statement, not her trial, not her testimony, but her actual statement to law enforcement?
I like all of that. Yeah. No, I don't know that I have
So-
any resource for that
Wait.
in that trial that went on in Wichita.
You're
Oh.
oh. Oh, the Wichita trial. That's the one that you want.
Yeah. I thought that's
Okay.
what we were talking about.
Okay. So
Oh no, I'm sorry. Angela Weiss was the younger girl,
the
the
12-year-old.
12-year-old. I
Hamby.
guess I'm talking about the other one.
You're talking
the
about
high school
Connie
girl.
York.
Connie York, the high school girl. Yeah.
So wait. Let's go back to Angela for a moment. The 12-year-old. So
Mm-hmm.
what were you saying about that one?
I confused her with Connie York.
Well,
So,
you know
but
that-
you're still of the opinion that Rodney raped the 12-year-old too, right?
I believe his DNA was found in it, but I know that David Board switched the DNA.
So,
Right.
do you believe that he did it, or are you
I
saying that
believe
he
he did it.
didn't?
Yes, I'm pretty sure that he did it
Okay.
because.
So, where does the
Yeah.
switching of the DNA come in?
What's that?
Where does the switching of the DNA come in?
I believe that's what Mr. Fisher's going to say happened.
No. You said you know of
Yeah, no.
David Board switching the DNA.
I'm just referring to what people who think that Angela Weiss wasn't raped by Rodney Reed, but was raped by somebody by
Oh,
the name of Slaughter.
but wait a minute. Do you know? Have you ever seen Angela Hamby Weiss's statement to David Board back on the day
Yeah.
the day after that rape
Yeah,
happened?
She was 12
Do you-
years
do
old.
you know
so
who
didn't-
she identified?
She didn't sign. No, I know that Joy.
She identified
actually
James
identified
Slaughter. Do you know?
No,
have
that's
you
not
seen
true.
the
That's not
interview
true.
that David Board did with
That's not
James
true.
Slaughter, where he admitted having sex with a 12-year-old girl? He's like 18, 19, and he's bigger than Rodney.
It's not true that.
No, these
Wait,
are,
wait,
these-
wait, wait,
that
whoa,
she had
whoa,
an
Fish.
affidavit because she was 12 years old. She didn't have an affidavit, but she did testify at Ronnie's punishment trial, and she told exactly what happened. She never knew who did it, but she was told that it was Rodney Reed.
No. That's Connie. That's not Hamby. That's Harbottle. That says that she
No,
didn't know who raped
She
her.
was told.
Angela
Vivian
Weiss
Harbottle was told.
did not know who raped her.
Yes. Have
No,
you?
but she
and see,
did
you
know
haven't
who raped
seen.
her.
You now. Here's something you don't know. In that evidentiary hearing in 2019, do you know that they slipped to the judge the DNA profile from Harbottle on the railroad tracks for the first time that they've been hiding, that even was never given to the defense in all these
We're
many
moving
years?
over to Harbottle. We were talking. Let's keep.
She's
keep
the
it
railroad
on,
track.
Yeah, let's keep it on Angela
You-
because the
well,
question was
on
it
Angela
Slaughter
Hamby.
or
On Angela Hamby, I have the 19, the 89
I have that too.
in search warrants,
Yeah.
the statements, the interview with James Slaughter, Hamby
Yeah.
saying that James Slaughter raped her, Joy Monfort, who was the neighbor back then,
Yeah.
saying that it was James Slaughter. These are all from 1989 with David Board's name on
I
them.
know. So tell me something. They ended up clearing Slaughter from it because of DNA, right? Or hair?
No,
or,
you know
or,
where James Slaughter is right now?
No,
Serving
no,
life
but-
in
but tell
prison
me.
for
No.
raping and biting another little girl in Bastrop and having abducted her and raped her over several days. You know where he was hiding
Wait,
her?
Stop.
He had her
Stop. We don't
tied
care
up
about
in
that.
a chicken coop back out in in a farmyard. And
Hey,
that's
wait a
what
second.
sentenced
So-
him to life. That was his third or fourth violent rape.
You're going on and on. Angela Weiss, they thought it was Slaughter. Angela Weiss always said that she didn't know who it was. She testified like that at her.
No,
at his,
that's
at,
that.
At Rod,
Look, at the
stop
time,
it.
look,
Rodney
this
Reed,
this
at the
no,
punishment
this
trial,
girl.
she said that she never knew who raped her. She said that
No.
at the trial when she was 19. and
She
20.
what she said at trial under prompt after years of drug abuse, 2020, they dealt with her, and she is an absolute burned out train wreck. But on top of that, these are the interviews that she gave right after the rape. And then you
12 years
have,
old,
and then
and she
they
never
interviewed
signed the
James
affidavit.
Slaughter, and Slaughter admits as a 18, 19-year-old male of having sex with her in 89. As a 12-year-old white girl in 89. And you're saying, and David Boyd at trial testified that he had enough evidence to take somebody else before the grand jury. He just decided not to. That's Slaughter.
But Slaughter was suspected in that same affidavit.
No,
that you
Slaughter,
that
the
Angela-
reason that they didn't
Stop
go
it.
after
Let me
Slaughter
speak.
is because he was the premier football player of all times of Bastrop County that had multiple scholarships from the major universities on the East Coast at the time he did this. And they
Let me know
didn't
when I
charge
can
him because he was going to leave Bastrop, and they thought he was going to, and everybody expected him to be a first-round draft pick to the NFL. And he was was no more in college a couple of months than he violently raped a woman up there.
But you know what, Fish? You know what?
Can you let me
One
speak?
second. As Justice C pointed out in the chat just now, and I have to place this as a question, because Rodney was supposed to let authorities know when he came into town and when he left town, based on what was happening in Wichita
On
Falls.
its conditions of, yes, being out on
He doesn't
on
have a
bail
good track
from
You
record.
agree
Wichita
with
Falls.
you agree with that, caller?
He does not have a good track record of that. He went to jail in Wichita County because he skipped his meeting with his parole officer.
No, he
Okay.
didn't.
So
No, he
wait.
didn't. Yeah,
Even
he
if he did, even
Yeah,
if
he
he did, at the
went
time
to jail
when
and back-
Angela
Wichita.
Weiss, at the time when Angela Hamby was raped, where was Rodney?
In Bastrop, visiting relatives and
Was he?
hanging out with her friends, including Joy. So let me ask the
Are you
question now.
aware that he
Wait.
left prior to Angela being raped?
He left earlier that night?
No, the morning before.
Oh, okay. All right. Not the morning after.
No,
Then he
the
couldn't
morning
have done
before.
it, right?
So
Well,
when
listen.
would he have done it?
Guys, let me just ask you this question and try not to change the subject. So Angela had that affidavit, but she was a 12-year-old, so she couldn't really sign anything. So it's not a real affidavit. It's just something that David Board wrote up. And,
statement.
But as a result of that, they went after Slaughter, and they from the evidence that they took, they found that he was not a match. Is that true or is that not true?
Nobody's
found-
ever seen it.
Who
Just
found
like
that there
just
was he was
nobody,
not a
look,
match?
nobody has ever seen the DNA profile.
So
Nobody,
you're
not the
saying
defense.
it's not true.
Nobody
You're saying
has
it's-
ever
you're saying-
seen the profile
That's
of
not,
the
that's not my
so-called
question.
DNA evidence
It's not
in
my
the
question.
Hamby case.
My question is, did they accuse and test Slaughter against the evidence they got from?
There's no
rape?
no evidence that they did.
Is that a yes?
And
Is
so
there-
and
is
let
that a
me
no?
let me just expand upon that. I told you that, and I produced it to Kevin. The reports for the first time the state has ever disclosed the DNA test results on Harbottle raped on the railroad tracks.
Harbottle. We moved away from.
No, wait a minute,
Talking about
because
Harbottle.
Tanner finally produced those to the judge in that
We're talking about
evidentiary
Harbottle.
hearing, and it was just, and I happened to hear about it, and I had to go and demand those from the court to get them
We're
under
so we're
Rule
talking
12.
about Angela. Why
And
did
what
you
they
move
show
to
is
Harbottle?
that the numbers between
You're filibustering.
I'm sorry?
You're filibustering. We were talking
No,
about Angela.
the
now you're
numbers
talking about
that the
Harbottle.
state produced show that Rodney, that the numbers were so nebulous, so inconsequential, that the difference between excluding a white man and a black man from being the contributor to the rape of Harbottle were like 85 people difference. It could,
but we're not talking
based
about
on the
Harbottle
numbers, it could have been any 50 or 60 black males or 50 or 60 white males that raped her just from the city of Bastrop alone.
So
The numbers were so inconsequential that you couldn't have picked out anybody based on the results.
so
And they hid
Right,
those.
so-
They hid those numbers for more than 20 years from the defense.
Let me know when you're done filibustering about Harbottle, and we'll continue our conversation about Angela Weiss.
Why? There's no sense in it. No matter what the records show, you have a reason why. Oh, I don't believe that because she's 12 years old. She knew James Slaughter for years. She knew who he was.
well, I
She
wouldn't
ran
say for
around,
years.
She smoked
And she-
pot with him.
and she-
And not only that, there's another
If she testified
statement.
at court.
Wait a minute. There
she
was
said that she
another
did not
statement
know
of a friend
who
of hers
raped her.
who's
If she knew-
over
if she knew-
16, who was there the night before at Hamby's at the Hamby's house or apartment when Rodney came by. Now you got this kid,
Joy,
you have
Mossberg,
Rodney,
who's
and you
related-
have
related
Hamby.
distantly to
Now
Rodney.
wait a minute. Do you know what that statement says? That Rodney and this guy that was there, they sat out on the front porch, not in the house, and talked about boxing and everything, and completely ignored Hamby, who got mad, went into the apartment, and went to bed and locked the door because
Never got
they ignored her because they were
She never
talking
got me.
sports and stuff like this. To sound like a rapist. And then late at night, he left. The guy was still there. He left. He said, I had to go. I got, and he left.
Well, it seems like he.
And that
raped Angela
morning, the
first
next
before he
morning,
left.
he left to Bastrop and went back with the family. They drove back to Wichita Falls. And that night, Hamby was raped.
And somehow Slaughter got Rodney Reed's DNA to put inside of Hamby.
Slaughter raped her twice in the course of a week.
Yep.
He raped her the
And-
first time, and she went to the police. And this is what David Board was talking about, that he had enough evidence to take a suspect before the grand jury, from the first rape.
Well,
And
the
he
first
didn't do it.
time
And wait
he
a
was
minute,
actually interrupted.
Because she went to the police, her family did, James Slaughter was telling everybody he's going to get back at her for going to the police, and that's why the second rape was so violent.
But hold on. Because it was the interruption of the first rape. Because really and truly, we're talking about statutory rape.
Right.
No, I mean, she testified that she was brutally raped and bitten.
That is what happened the second time. This is what happened the
That's
time
what happened the
when
time Rodney raped
he what? It wasn't Rodney.
That is what happened when Rodney raped her. Because
It wasn't
they
Rodney.
matched up his teeth marks,
Nope.
and
It wasn't
his
Rodney.
sperm was inside of her.
What?
How did that happen?
Rodney
His
wasn't
DNA was
in
inside of
Rodney
Angela.
wasn't in Bastrop at the time. And you're
But
saying
how
that
did
Joy,
it-
you
how
said
did
it was
the
you
DNA
said it
get in
was
there?
you mentioned Joy because she's a relative of Rodney's.
Is she?
How is she related?
I don't know.
You said she's a relative. How is she
yeah,
related?
I believe that that's the case.
And the relation is what? How is she a relative?
Her husband or maybe her ex-husband were cousins with the Reeds. I'm not too sharp on that, but that's what I understand.
Yes, her
ex-husband is
was
Rodney's
a
husband.
sheriff deputy at the time that this happened. He was a sheriff deputy.
Any relation to the Reeds?
Her ex-husband is
Yes,
cousins with Rodney.
He's a cousin of Reed's, but he was a sheriff deputy
All right,
when he was
Kevin,
dating.
I wasn't wrong there, right?
I'm sorry?
I'm just telling Kevin I wasn't wrong when I said that.
But no,
That Joy
he's
is a
not
relative?
related.
She's not
She's
related.
dating a guy that's
She
related
was
to
married to.
Rodney Reed.
And she married him,
She was married to his
Later,
cousin.
she did.
right? So he's kind of close with Reed.
A lot of people in Bastrop are
You
close.
see, yes, but you see, it's all right for white
So,
relatives
wait.
to testify in white trials.
No, wait.
But it's not okay
But she
for
didn't.
black.
Let's
relatives.
not even go black and
never
white. Let's not
testified.
even go black
No,
and
but
white. Let me
that's-
ask this.
no,
Let
but
me ask this. Hold on, Fish.
That's
Hold on,
exactly
hold
what
on,
this
hold on,
case is
hold on.
all about.
Wait. Hold on. So, because Joy was married to Rodney's cousin, what she says doesn't hold water. Right?
I don't know. Why didn't she testify?
She wasn't called to testify.
Why?
It wasn't her choice.
Because she had been married to a relative of Rodney. You
But
see, that's
she wasn't
the
called to
difference.
So
testify.
why would that hold?
No,
why would
but
that
you're
no
saying-
relative of Rodney was allowed to testify on his behalf because they're relatives. But in any other case where you have white defendants who have relatives, white relatives, who are alibi witnesses, they're allowed to testify even though they're related, but not in this case. No
Rodney's
relative
mother
of Rodney's
testified.
was allowed to testify at this trial.
Rodney's mother testified. Rodney's mother
She was a limited amount of testimony, but again,
Because
she
of
knew
her
nothing.
race?
She was not an alibi
think-
witness for Rodney.
You think that
Chris Aldridge
Rodney's
was.
lawyers?
I'm sorry.
You think that Rodney's lawyers were anti-black?
Look,
It's
are
not-
you familiar
no.
with the? Wait. Let me ask you. Are you familiar with the Anthony Graves case? The black guy was almost executed.
No, I don't want to go. I don't want to.
No, well, let me tell you what. He was convicted.
No.
And you know who his attorneys were?
It has nothing to do with Rodney.
Calvin Garvey and Lydia Clay Jackson.
Okay, so Lydia Clay Jackson.
You know who the judge was? You know who the
testify.
judge was that appointed him? The same judge that appointed him to Rodney's case. And
So
he was
Lydia Clay
innocent.
Jackson's
And he
racist.
was almost executed 3 times.
So Lydia Clay Jackson's racist, and she didn't want any black people to testify.
No. Look, I consult with attorneys. And here's what I am told, bar none, that they are not, court-appointed attorneys, cannot raise issues that the judges that appoint them don't want them to, or they will blackball them. I have to negotiate how much I get into transcripts in order to build this database that I have. And you can see it in the databases that the attorneys can challenge a medical examiner just so far, and that's as far as they can go. And if they don't, they'll be blackballed. And I met with an attorney in a high-profile case.
I just want to.
He was disbarred in 60 days from talking to me.
I just want to point out that, you know, we've never really gotten from you whether you think that slaughter was tested against evidence from the Angela White rape
I
case.
don't look. From what I have seen and documented with Lisa Tanner and Mitzi Wolf, not just in this case, but in multiple cases, one of the things that Lisa Tanner is noted for is magically producing DNA evidence when none of it ever existed prior to them coming in. There's a high-profile case out of Northeast Texas that they were brought in
Let's just
2006.
keep it to Rodney.
The case is from '86. The Texas Ranger had written 3 books. There was no DNA evidence in the case, and within a couple of weeks of Lisa Tanner and Mitzi Wolf being assigned to that cold case in 2006, it's an '86 case, they found a napkin that didn't have one suspect's blood on it, but that same napkin had blood from all 3 suspects on that one napkin. And there was no record. The Texas Ranger had never seen it. Nobody had ever seen that in the 30 years prior to Lisa Tanner and Mitzi Wolf coming into the case.
So, Fish, basically you're saying because of a lack of information, you cannot say whether or not James Slaughter DNA was run in the Angela Hamby case.
I have never been able to get documentation on this stuff. In fact, I just recently had requested the DNA from Carolyn Rivas, the mentally challenged girl from '95 that they used to match Rodney to Stacy's murder. And when I requested the DNA profile on that in late 2000, do you know what they told me? They'd never run it.
Do you have no standing? It's none of your business?
No. In Texas, we do have standing.
You're funny.
Let me tell you, you should see my files are massive. And I can get, if they ran the test and use that in a trial, I can get it. But do you know what the state said? They never ran. They've never run Hamby's DNA. I mean, Carolyn Rivas' DNA. They've never tested it.
She was dating him.
They brought her in trial to testify.
Yeah. No, she was in the penalty phase. She was in the punishment phase.
But to this day, they've never run the DNA from her rape kit.
Yeah.
But yet they used that rape kit to identify Rodney, but they've never tested it. See, that's the contradictions you have.
There's not a cloud of mystery as to who raped Rivas. She might be mentally challenged, but she knows who her boyfriend was. That's right. They were boyfriends. They lived together. It was the state who went to her just like they tried to do. You're going to villainize her social worker who saw boobs all over her.
The girl caught Rodney. His girlfriend. They were living together. The girlfriend caught Rodney with another woman. Do you know why they never ran her rape kit and they never pursued it? Because David Board ran over there without a search warrant and collected those garments. And since Rodney lived there and they didn't have her permission, they had no authority. That was an illegal search. That's the truth.
That sounds made up. You don't need
No,
you
it's
don't need
not.
multiple people's permission. You don't
wait
need
a
multiple
minute.
people's
You,
permission.
if you have to have permission to search somebody's house,
Right.
they don't have it. They didn't get
Well,
it.
they did.
No,
They
they
did,
didn't.
because Carol
They
Reed
just
did.
went up. David
Carol
Moore
Reed
just
did it.
went over there and collected items.
Because he was following up on a woman, a mentally retarded woman who was raped and beaten.
Who lived on her own. She was not beat. She never said that. There
Oh,
was
she
no allegations
Oh, yeah.
of physical violence.
You two really have to. You guys have to read the punishment phase in the testimony.
Look, I have all the transcripts. I have
right.
all of
Well-
that. I've read all of that. I happen to
Mr. Stu,
also have
because
the statements that were given at the time, and they don't match the testimony
they do.
at all.
They certainly do.
You see the problem?
Well, yeah, I do. I see the
Yeah.
problem.
So when the state puts you on the stand and they feed you information,
Yeah, she was.
and you've got an incompetent court-appointed defense.
Her social worker testified as well.
And the social worker wasn't there
But she
when
saw
this
the
alleged
remnants.
happened. But the bottom line is, they never ran the DNA in her rape kit or anything. They never
Yeah.
ran it
That's
because they obtained it illegally.
No, it's because she didn't want to press charges.
That's
Even
right.
though-
And you
even
know
though-
what happens when you have a case and they try to make a case and you say that I'm not going to testify to the grand jury? You know, you can't come back and do it. You can't take the bite out of that second apple. Once you do it, you're acknowledging it wasn't a sexual assault, and you can't come back and do that again, except when Lisa Tanner and the Attorney General's office is involved. No other court of law in the United States would have allowed that. But on top
What are you
of
talking
that,
about?
look.
The
I mean,
fact
this
that
is
she
this is
testified?
pointless. You could look at all of the actual records, all of the testimony, the black and white of it, and you would still, you're a nay-nay. You would simply say, well, no, that doesn't mean anything. I mean, if our criminal justice system operated under your standards, the people you believe
Rodney
in
Reed would
could
be in
never
jail.
be convicted, even if 30 people saw it happen. It wouldn't convince you. I don't have a dog to hunt. If Rodney was guilty, let me tell you, I'd have said so. If I saw any records that said he was guilty, I'd have told you so. I don't owe any
But you know what?
allegiance to Rodney.
But you know what, Fish? You know what? Even if he was guilty, the way that they went about proving his guilt is still called for question.
Absolutely,
And
and I
as a
would have raised
result-
those issues.
As a result,
20 years.
he would
20 years
still
of appeals. 20 years of appeals.
Wait, guess what? There are people. Let me see. The last post that I have
I know.
seen, 34 years
Yeah.
incarcerated.
I agree that there certainly are people, and I certainly agree that black
So
people
20 years
have
is
it
what?
worse.
Okay. I'm not even limiting it to black people. I'm not limiting it to black people.
I mean, I say that there are people who are in jail that are innocent, but I don't think Rodney Reed's one of them, and it's somewhat absurd to think that it is,
And yet I haven't heard you one time raise the issue of the violent rape that Jimmy Finnell perpetrated and the threat to kill the woman if she talked.
Because I don't
At
give a
gunpoint. At a
shit
gun
about
to her
Jimmy
head.
Finnell.
I'm sorry?
Why
I don't give a
not?
shit about Jimmy Finnell.
Why not?
He was probably a bad guy in the 90s, and he obviously got to be an awful guy in 2010. But when
Why?
I'm
Why
not going
don't
to
you
make any
care
excuses
about
for
him?
him, but when your fiance gets brutally raped and murdered, it might have some effect on your psyche. Not excusing him, he doesn't excuse himself. He went to jail. He admitted to the crime, and he made a quick work of pleading guilty and going to jail. So
Yeah, do you know why? Do you know why? There
Yeah,
were
because-
like
be-
seven
because he was
other
guilty.
women he tried to do that to before he got
Oh, okay.
he got this woman.
All right.
No, I
You're
sent
gonna-
I sent the news reporter. See, I pulled those records. I knew about
Yeah.
these attempts,
Listen,
and I gave
take
it to the
take a
news
step
media. They
backwards.
went down and confronted the judge who was presiding over his case, and the DA's office hadn't disclosed to the judge that Fennell had these other allegations from many
Yes, sir.
other women over the previous years of him trying to
Mr.
do the
Fisher.
same thing to them, pulling them over late
Mr.
at
Fisher.
night.
Take a step backwards and realize what you're saying is that all those women who actually went to court and testified against Jimmy, those folks are flawed, and but these women,
those women
who-
didn't
who-
go to court and testify against him. He took a plea
They
to
did.
keep that from coming out and getting into the
Right.
record.
Right. So that should be held against them. These women who never ever came forward against Jimmy, but the woman who did come forward against
No, they
Rodney,
did. They
should be
came forward,
nullified.
and the DAs wouldn't prosecute. The district attorney's office in Williamson County had all of these women went forward and complained, just like the girlfriend of Jimmy's after Stacy, and the racial stuff, and him stalking her, and the hell he
Yeah.
put her through
Well,
when she broke
you-
up with
you-
him.
You're talking to the
And
wrong
yet,
guy
when
if you
she
want
filed
to
complaints with the
support
police department,
Jimmy.
it wasn't there either.
You're talking to the wrong person if you want someone to support Jimmy Fennell, because, like I said, he probably wasn't a great guy in the 90s.
Probably. See,
And,
it's amazing the
wait,
different approach
hold
you
on.
take. That Rodney's absolutely guilty but Jimmy Fennell might have been a bad guy, but he did the right thing and he got better. Yeah, right. I mean, this is
Okay, he's
this is
still
like
an
that
asshole,
crap
and
that Carol Stites said that
he's-
into 2020. Oh well, he belongs to the same church as we do, so yeah, we
Okay,
forgive him for
Jimmy
what
should-
he did to the other
Jimmy-
woman.
Jimmy should get the death penalty. Does that make you happy?
This. I'm sorry, Kevin, but this is getting.
Yeah.
This is getting.
All right, so it's a long-
How I'll leave you guys.
I mean,
it's-
the more and more I see the
think
shadow
at this
of
point-
Lisa O'Brien here.
At this point, at this point,
She makes a lot more sense than you do.
Oh,
But,
there you go. I was
that right
was a
there.
fish. I was waiting for that.
that's right there.
Exactly why I said
Do
that.
do tell her.
There are
her
other people that
that-
I listen to about this too.
But
But
do
I
tell
do
her
wanna ask you-
that my line is still open, so she can call also, but not tonight. We're gonna do this again,
No,
And-
You know me,
let
Kevin.
guys
Anytime
go, but
you're ready,
And-
I've got the time.
and you can
I just ask
tell
you
her.
guys, leave you guys with one question: is there any thought given by David or Mr. Stu or any of the defenders of Reed that you might be viciously affecting the lives of Stacy's family or her memory when you speak about her life?
Look, when
you-
I
when you
Wait.
think I
Let me
stole
hear this
her
question,
wedding
Fish.
dress.
Fish. Let me hear this question.
Let me finish. When you say things like she stole her wedding dress, when you say, that she had an affair without any real evidence of such things, do you ever worry about making sure that she's shown that the way that you make sure that she's shown in a negative light? Do you ever think that might be unfair for her?
Who is
when
painting
she
her in a
can't
negative
defend
light?
herself?
Who is painting her in a negative light? Who said she stole her
Stacey?
dress? Nobody said she stole her dress.
Yeah, only you
it has
said
been
that.
said.
You said that. None of us ever said that.
No, David has said that in the past.
No,
He
I have
never said.
never.
He
No,
has never
Stacey
said
didn't
that
steal the
Stacy
death.
stole her
But
dress.
once her death took place, her obligations, her contractual obligations ended, except for filing claims against the estate, except the estate had no money. So, I mean, those things are a matter of law. But it's the fiance that when he steps forward and takes responsibility in order to take possession of the garment, then it's him who stole it if he doesn't pay for it.
David, you said that. David, did you ever say that Stacy was pregnant with Rodney's baby?
Carol Stites told me that Stacy was pregnant
The
with Rodney's
statement
baby.
he made was that what you just repeated just now. And that was a
And that
statement he
took
has
place
always
in the
said.
spring of 2008, and it shocked the crap out of me. And she went ahead. She told me. She said because we discussed it. I called her one time, Now, if you monitor Carol Steitz's website, she says that she listens to me. She learns a lot about the case from me. She doesn't take shots at me because I don't lie, and it surprised her that I had suspected it because I knew Bayardo and I know what he does.
So you still,
And so we talked, and she
propagate
said yes, that Stacy was pregnant, and it was Rodney's, and she was trying to get Stacy to have an abortion, and she was refusing. Carol knew what would happen if Stacy delivered a biracial baby to Jimmy.
So you think
That all died.
besides what you say that Carol said, you believe that that's true?
Yes, I believe it's true because I know Bayardo. Now, I have probably 1,000 autopsies from Bayardo. Now,
Hold on, Fish.
How many fake pregnancies?
Hold on, Fish.
yeah,
Carlo, I'm going to give you
Yeah.
an assignment.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to go and research autopsies done by Roberto Bayardo, where he examines either those that are pregnant or thought to be pregnant. That's your assignment. When you come up with some results, hit me up, let me know that you've gotten some results. And
All right.
we can talk about how he words those autopsies.
I'll do that if you guys put some thought into the fact that you are affecting the memory of Stacy pretty atrociously, and you do
I have
without
Stacy
Listen.
Stites
real
and
person.
her relationships. I have no problem with Stacy. Stacy was, she was an average girl in a small town. I grew up in a small town, a lot smaller than Bastrop. Went to high school in a town that my graduating class would have been 36. So it's Stacy. There's what Stacy was doing is indicative of a young girl of her age of 19 who had just graduated from high school, who had been working her way through high school, supporting her mother who wouldn't work. Stacy worked all through high school so that her mother could afford an apartment. That's what Stacy did. And Stacy's mother was going to move in with and live with Carol, with Stacy and Jimmy, and let them support her. That's Stacy's mother. Now, Stacy, when she graduated high school, moved from this little town of Smithville, which is less than half the size of the city of Bastrop, a lot small, and even less than half, probably a third the size. She moves to Bastrop, the city of Bastrop, where the pay scales are much higher, and she gets a job at HEB, who is virtually the best paying business in Bastrop. She has money, she has freedom, and she is a very independently minded young woman. And you've got somebody like Jimmy. Jimmy and Stacy were never, until she came up pregnant, were never in a monogamous relationship.
You were so rude to say that.
No, I'm serious. And see,
No, you're
now,
rude.
you saw the filing that the Innocence Project did in December, filing that new filing in the Reed case.
Yeah.
And they said that the state withheld Jose Coronado's statement of him knowing that Stacy and Rodney were together. That is absolutely not true. Jose Coronado testified that he had no knowledge of Stacy and Rodney dating, period. The statement that he gave the Texas Ranger and David Board, do you know that statement has never been released by the Attorney General's office? They're still withholding it to this day because Jose Coronado's statement said that Lawhon and Stacy were dating because he worked with both of them and he had seen them together David
pretty rude to say
Lawhon
this
was the
stuff without
original
any
suspect
solid evidence.
in this murder.
Say that
Didn't
again,
know
caller.
that, did you?
Wait,
Disrespectful.
hold on. So he
Disrespectful.
for what? Where?
This is
he's-
juvenile. This is just juvenile.
What-
No,
what's
you're
disrespectful?
You're juvenile.
Wait, hold on,
You-
hold on, Fisher. Caller, what's disrespectful?
This rumor BS about Stacy. I mean, he's just playing fast and furious, fast and loose with the with fiction. You know, I mean, and it's I mean, to think that somebody did an autopsy, whether it's Bayardo or some nutty professor, for them to do an autopsy and
Tell me something.
miss the fact that they are the person is pregnant. It's absurd. And
Wait, tell me something. Tell me something.
It's rubbing
All
me
right.
the wrong way.
So, what do you know of Stacy, Carlo? What do you know of Stacy? Apart from the fact that she was
You want me
engaged,
to-
she ended up dead.
Yeah.
What do you know of her?
She was like I think I can agree with what Mr. Fisher said. She was an average girl who did not want to, probably never harmed anybody, who got pregnant and didn't get an abortion, who was probably had a lot of faith in God and was probably a yin to Jimmy's gruff and more negative ways. I think that she's probably she was a good person who would probably be in her mid-50s now if it wasn't for I believe Rodney Reed doing what he's done multiple times is beating her, raping her, and killing her.
Do you think that she could have been what would have been considered back then a little fast?
Back then, I mean, the 90s aren't that long ago. We're not talking about the 50s. And so,
Okay. Do you
I
think
believe
what
that teenagers had
she's
sex a lot?
okay? Do you think that she would have had sex with multiple people?
At the same time? Or you meaning, obviously she was living with Jimmy and she had a baby with somebody else. And,
Wait, when did she have the
but
baby with someone else?
She had the baby when she was, I don't know, what, 15, 16?
15,
Okay.
yeah. And do you know when that father of that child found out that he had a daughter?
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Doesn't
Hold on.
matter.
No,
Fish.
it does.
So-
It does matter. It does matter.
So wait,
Because
Fish.
Carol hid that from him, denied him his parental rights, and adopted out. Carol Stites, adopted out his child without him knowing. He didn't find out about it
So you gotta
until
take, you gotta
what?
take this minutia.
2017, 18.
But all right, Fish. Hold on.
He's
Hold
got
on.
to take this minutia and turn it into General Hospital.
Hold on.
I mean,
Hold on. So, Carla, back to you.
yeah.
So, with all of this, the fact that Fisher mentioned that Stacy was having a relationship with Lawhon, that is far-fetched and disrespectful.
I think if she was engaged, it's pretty disrespectful to throw that against the wall.
And when did she get engaged? Do you know when?
As
She was
wait,
engaged for
hold up,
about a
wait,
year.
wait,
No, that's
hold up,
relevant
hold
because
up.
this is
Wait, 1 second, Fisher, 1 second. As an engaged woman, she was seen with another man having a good time.
Is that true?
You've heard it on my broadcast before, and I wasn't the one that said it.
But I'm not asking you where I heard it. I am asking you, is it true? Is it a reliable person who told you that? Or
Why
is it
would they lie?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of reasons why someone would lie. Number one, They're supporting Rodney because they don't want him to be in jail, not to mention face the death penalty. There's people who don't care about Rodney, who are anti-death penalty, who will say anything to make a death penalty case look bad. There are a lot of reasons why someone would lie about the circumstances of Stacy.
How do you feel about the death penalty?
Truthfully, years ago I was okay with it, but I don't think that I think that Rodney Reed is living a life of hell right now because he is in solitary 23 hours a day, from what I understand. So that's pretty bad. And the only benefit I think of if you do have the death penalty is, somebody does kill viciously and ends one or more people's lives. If you don't have the death penalty, then that person could get out on parole. So I think life without parole is more appropriate. And what makes me feel stronger about this is actually the effect that it has on the family of the person who's killed. I think it's just awful that every death penalty drags out for 20 plus years, and for 20 years the family of the person who's been tragically taken from them, they have to go through the same arraignments and appeals and everything. And imagine if Jimmy is, if you will, imagine if he's innocent and he has dealt with the first trial, and then he dealt with this again this past summer. As bad of a person as he is, because he actually raped and harmed one, or if David Fisher's right, 100 women. Still, it's just an awful thing that marks the rest of his life. So, the long answer to your short question is, I would be very good if I'd be fine if the death penalty was abolished.
Okay, now ask me the same question.
Fish, how do you feel about the death penalty?
I believe in the death penalty. I support the death penalty, provided that the system is just. There are people, and I've known some, that are killers, and nothing will stop them. They have no moral, no center of compass. They are sociopaths. And I've never said I'm anti-death penalty. I've always made it clear that I support the death penalty, provided that our system of justice is a justice system and not a criminal system. And we don't have that. And I'm going to say just one other thing, and then I've had enough of this. Starting in 2008, right after Carol and I talked, Reed had his first and only oral arguments before the Court of Criminal Appeals in Austin. I was there. Stacy's sister was there with her husband, and I believe it was her son, who's serving a life sentence, by the way, of abducting, kidnapping, and raping a little girl. But on that, after the hearing, Stacy's sister was holding a press conference talking about how Rodney needs to drop all this and just take his medicine and be executed. And I asked her in front of all the cameras that if she was aware that her mother had just told me a couple of weeks earlier that Stacy was pregnant, the child was Rodney's, and that she was trying to get Stacy to have an abortion. And Stacy's sister stood there, blank-faced, almost fainted. Her husband had to grab her around the waist and her elbow to hold her up. Stood there for like 30 seconds and then turned, and they all ran. And to this day, as many times as I have said this, her sister has never disputed that fact, nor has Carol said, I never had the phone conversation with Fisher. I never talked to him. I never said that. She's never said that. What she does blog is that she thinks I'm a smart guy, and she learns a lot from me. Does that sound like somebody that, that I told a horrific lie, as you said, and so disrespectful, and yet her mother acknowledges that she learns a lot from me. She, and she monitors me, but she's never disputed what I've said. Not one time.
You see, here's the thing. I understand that it may look bad to say, Stacy had a couple of boyfriends. It may look bad to say she was engaged and had said relationships. But guess what? This is something that actually happens. It happens every day. It happened back in the 90s. It happened in the 80s. It happened even before then. It happens today. People who are married have what are called extramarital affairs. So these things happen. And if they die and it comes out that they had said relationships, there's nothing disrespectful about that.
There is.
Actually, there isn't. And the only person, there isn't.
If she is,
for you to
working
say,
hard, getting up at 3:00 in the morning in order to buy her wedding dress, so laser focused on her wedding.
She wasn't getting up that early in the morning just to buy a wedding dress. That was her work hours.
Yeah. No, she got the early shift in order to make more money so she could afford a dress. That's a true thing. That's been
that's just to afford the dress, but to afford the wedding. But at the same time, have you seen the notes that Carol drafted about what took place in those days just before her murder?
Yeah, I read those.
She's pointing the finger at Jimmy.
No, she's just saying.
Oh, yes, she is. I'm sorry. You've seen that bogus written statement that was put into the record in 2017, but you haven't seen her 9 pages of notes.
Yeah.
Going back. Yeah. You've seen those 9 pages?
It was kind of like her diary saying that Jimmy was rude.
Well, actually, it was her cheat sheet to write that statement in March of 2005. And what she's saying is Jimmy keeps poking her to ask if he's still a suspect. And she tells him, if you want to know, call the sheriff and ask him. And he says, well, I'm going to have Curtis Davis ask the sheriff if he can do a ride-around with me. If the sheriff lets me ride around with Curtis Davis on one of his patrols, then I'm not a suspect. You see how Jimmy used Curtis Davis? And see, this is the mindset of Jimmy Fennell, worried about him being a suspect rather than catching the person if somebody else murdered Stacy would be on his mind. Not, do you know if I'm still a suspect? Can you ask the sheriff if I'm still a suspect? That sounds a lot like a suspect, doesn't it?
We're running way too late here. And Kevin asked the thing: is it crazy to think that Stacy would date a
black man? She's
Rodney
a white
Reed.
girl. She wouldn't dare date a black guy.
I didn't ask her. I didn't.
Real handsome black
Fish.
guy.
Hold on.
Jesus.
Why do you have to be so racist?
I didn't go for a race. I didn't go for a race. I didn't go for a race. I just asked the question generally.
No, Fisher started being racist.
Oh,
no.
That comment was racist, sir. Absolutely.
Caller,
why would she date Rodney? Isn't that what you just asked?
Yeah. Why, if she's about to get married inside of a month, and she says, okay, well, here's this guy Rodney. He doesn't have a car. I don't have a car. He doesn't have a job. I don't have a job. He's got a reputation for raping women. Yeah, you know what?
No,
maybe
he
I'll hook up
didn't.
with him a couple of times before. Yeah, he did. I'll send you again what his father's friend said about him.
You're going to send me records.
No, he's going to send it to me.
That's rich.
He's going to send it to me.
Yeah, okay.
I'll share it with you.
That's rich.
Do you have the quote? Do you know
All
what
right,
I'm talking about?
so
Do you know what I'm talking about? Walter Reed's friend who was asked to stand up for Rodney, and he said, "No, I'm not going to
Yeah,
stand up for him." He's a-
if that state, you may have some statement that was procured that never made it into evidence because they found that it was suspect. And let me tell you, I've dealt with Lisa Tanner for a very long time,
But
not just in
we
the
have
Reed
other
case.
statements that have never made it in
How
the
do
Reed case.
you're so good at getting off subject.
Look, it's what does it matter what the subject is?
So it
You
doesn't matter
have
if
your own
it's
opinion, and
legitimate.
Rodney's a rapist, murderer, and Jimmy Fennell's, is God's gift to the, to the world.
No, how many
So,
times
I mean,
have I
what?
say I think Jimmy's a
Here.
bad guy? You keep on putting that word into my mouth. That he's a
Here,
good guy.
here's what.
Let's wrap it up.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing, Carla. There's nothing disrespectful. Nobody is being disrespectful. No,
Think of
nobody.
her.
Nobody here is being disrespectful.
Think of if she was murdered and raped by somebody she didn't really know,
One,
and
she was not raped, and the autopsy shows that. One, she was
She
not
was.
raped,
she
and
was
two,
raped. It's not just. You're awful. She was raped. The state of her clothes.
okay.
They-
Clearly, we've been talking a little bit too long on
right.
this tonight.
That's-
Because
Yeah, let me-
here, listen
I
to me.
wanna- I
No,
wanna
no,
add
no, no,
something
no,
to the-
no,
to
no.
the-
Wait,
to
Fisher.
the listeners.
Fisher.
No, this
No,
is this is over.
This
Kevin.
guy
I
hung
mean,
up.
this
He
guy,
hung up.
it's just
He hung
on and
up.
on and on
He hung
about
up.
how he feels, he believes, everything's disrespectful. No evidence matters to him but what he believes. I mean, this is Lisa O'Brien all over again.
He hung
But
up.
I have some news to drop tonight. For one, the Innocence Project just filed a new brief today,
Mm-hmm.
seeking more relief in Reed. Now it's another BS brief. I went through it. It's just BS. But there is something that is different. J.D. Langley is no longer on the judge on Reed's case.
Mm.
You see, Texas has an interesting part of its constitution. And what it says is any office of the state that does not have a term of office either in the Constitution or in the statute is automatically limited to 2 years. So J.D. Langley, as a visiting judge, and visiting judges do not have terms of office by statute or in the Constitution. They're automatically set at 2 years. Langley was appointed to Rodney's case in November of 2019. In November of 2020, late November of 2020, J.D. Langley exceeded the 2-year term of office. And now the case reverts back to the elected trial court judge of Carson Campbell.
Mm.
And I'll be pushing that issue here very quickly because I went and looked at Supreme Court rulings, and when a judge has a conflict and has to bring in a visiting judge, when that conflict is lifted, the case reverts back to the elected trial court judge. Carson Campbell has no conflicts in the Reed case. His predecessor of the court did, Corbett Townsley, because it was her dad who prosecuted who presided over the
Right.
trial. So now that Langley's term has expired, then the case reverts back to the district court judge of the elected judge of that court. And I'll be pushing this issue. And to the listener who's we've had this long conversation with,
Yeah.
if you want to see this stuff unfold about medical examiners, oaths of office, judges requiring to take the oath, payments over your salary, all of this is all unfolding. All three of these are unfolding in Nueces County right now.
Listen.
So is all you have to do is watch Corpus Christi, Nueces County, and this unfold with the medical examiner's office, with retired judges, and with employees being paid, county officials being paid over their salary. Those are all in play right now. And they will affect what gets resolved here, affects every office in Texas, every medical examiner's office in Texas, and all retired and visiting and senior judges in Texas for the last 20 years. All of it is unfolding right now.
Yeah, I am looking forward to seeing how this one plays out.
Me too, because, it's a fight, and of course I'm at the root of all three of these. And as you and anybody who's interested, when you do a dig, you're going to find is all you have to do is run my name in that medical examiner issue, and you'll pick up the interviews that have been done. And it's not just all sides are talking to me. The attorneys representing the medical examiner and the county judge, or so the county attorney. Both sides are asking me for the records, for the AG opinions, for the court cases, for the history, for the documentation. Both sides.
Why don't they just go get them where you get them?
Because they don't know the system. You see, it's not the way Texas approaches things. The opinions, the way the AG writes them, is they keep the puzzle pieces from being pulled together. For instance, one of the issues down there are autopsies from the surrounding counties. That medical examiner's office has been doing autopsies for 17 surrounding counties. In my interview, I point that out, that this is going to be a problem for those autopsies done for those 17 surrounding counties. 2 days later, one of the TV stations interviews a district attorney from one of those counties, and he tells them that they're very disturbed that a lot of their cases could be affected, and they're watching this and they're trying to get answers from the medical examiner's office, and they haven't been able to get them yet. They're paying attention down there. But when the AG does things, like the first time the Attorney General's office ruled that a JP county cannot send a body out of county for an autopsy, and if they do, they can't pay for it because they had no authority to do it. And yet all the JP counties are doing that right now. And then in 2016, our current Attorney General issues an opinion saying that the JP counties can't pay to return the body after an autopsy because it's not in the statute. He doesn't go on to say and link the two AG opinions together, saying, look, as was ruled in 1969, that a JP is his jurisdiction is within the county of the death, and he has no authority to send the body out of county for an autopsy because the statute says the inquest must be done in the county of the death, and the autopsy is merely a tool of the inquest, a discretionary tool. And because of that, if you can't legally send the body out of county, and you can't pay if you do, then conversely, you can't pay to bring it back either. But the AG doesn't link that. And of course, if you're following our Attorney General, you would see that he's been under indictment for securities fraud since he was elected. But because our system is Republican, and I'm a conservative, I don't call myself a Republican anymore, you can't get that case before the courts. And you're going on 8 years now, and they still haven't been able to, even though he's been indicted, they can't get him before the courts. to have the case adjudicated. But in any case, this stuff is all in play right now in Nueces County.
Yeah, we need to keep an eye on that one.
Yeah, you need to really keep an eye on it because, and it's not just Nueces County. As the caller pointed out, that this opinion that medical examiners don't have to take the oath is merely the Harris County attorney's opinion. And it was written at me because I was the one that was pushing their medical examiner to have to take the oath. Well, right now I have a very big case going on there that will wreck the Harris County Medical Examiner's Office and everything they've done since 58, 59 to current.
You
And it
know,
will affect everybody, executed, sent to prison, on death row, all of it.
you know, one of the things I want to say, and I've told you this before. I appreciate the fact that you've taken time out to look into a lot of these cases, to dig up information and present the information, and so that we could speak on that information. I'm guessing this person that is putting this information here in the stew pot was our caller just now. Listen, 2522. Like I said, I'm gonna do this again. Fish is always available for us to be on this broadcast. And we've never been able to do 2 hours of this ever. And one day,
Right.
one day I'm gonna do it. I guess it's just definitely not today. And so we're going on 4 hours. This is where we're gonna wrap it up. But I'll say this, Fish. Thank you again. I appreciate the fact that you, well, I love the fact that you go and dig a little bit deeper and you keep your files a little bit longer than the average person. And so it makes it difficult for someone that gets information superficially to appreciate, to even accept slightly the information that is being presented. Caller, thank you for calling. You know, it took some guts. And I wish there were more like you that were willing to step up and state their piece. Your opinion is yours, and that's fine. And this that you're putting out here about Kelly Bonjuli or Banguli, however the name is pronounced, we'll address that another time. We're going to wrap this up tonight. Fish, thank you once again for being open to the idea of a forum where people can question you about your findings. Because, again, I've seen where you've come up with your come to your conclusions. I've seen your findings. I've seen the responses that you've gotten. I've seen the questions that you've asked to get those responses. Caller from earlier, I'm willing to look at your information where you have made said requests, similar requests for information.
Yeah, and see that's the difference. See, this caller, and I appreciate it. He has obtained some records that I'm not aware of, and it may be that I have them, that he's simply reading them in a different light. But I'm open to seeing them, because if ever any hard evidence came my way that Rodney actually did this, I'll be the first to tell you he did. Because, again, I don't have any dog to hunt. I'm after the truth only.
Mm-hmm.
What the truth is more important to me, and I don't have an opinion. I'm not locked into saying, oh, I've spent 20 years defending him, and I'm not going to, change my mind, on hard evidence. No, absolutely not. The truth is the key here to me. I don't care, what it is. If it is the truth, I'll embrace it. But, all the documentation of 20 years is 100% conclusive that he was railroaded. If somebody comes up with something, that hard evidence that says otherwise, hey, I'll look at it. As I do all documents, I will put it through the test. I will look at it as both the defense would, and as a prosecutor. And whichever turns out to be the truth, then that's what I'll embrace.
Fair enough.
To this date, all the evidence I've seen is 100% that he's innocent. So let's call it a night. I really appreciate you taking the time. And, it's going to be a rough day tomorrow for me, but hey.
You and me both, bro. You and me both.
We all have our crosses to bear.
Indeed.
And just for you, Kevin, we'll sign this off. I'll sign off by saying, don't stand under a tree right now.
Hey,
that's an inside joke, people. I'm sorry.
It's rough down here under these trees.
That way for right now.
Listen, have a good night, Fish. Thank you very much. Caller from earlier, thank you. Have a great night.
And again, my dittos to that.
Those who have been listening in on various platforms, One Harmony Radio, Foundation Radio Network, ClintonLindsay.com, NIE Radio, Island Worldwide, WGLRO, Oliwap Radio, Dusik Media Groups, PEMG TV, CR7, all the affiliates. If I left anybody out, it was just because I'm just getting back. Forgive me. I truly appreciate love each and every one of you. We'll do this again. Again, this platform is all about having acceptance through enlightenment. We don't have to agree. We just need to leave a little bit more enlightened than when we got here. Which means we have to be open to the information that we're sharing. I may not agree with what you're saying, but I'm gonna listen to it. And you may not agree with what I'm saying, but I only ask that you offer me the same courtesy. Until we get to chit chat again later on today, it's Healthy Love. So join me for Healthy Love. We're gonna be talking about. I actually have been compiling this list for a while, and so I want to look at some of the medications that have been advertised on TV. Join me later. We'll talk about some of it. Fish, take care. Carla, you take care. Everybody that's still on, truly appreciate of you. Thank you for the comments in the stew pot. Those of you who are on just to see, much love to you, all you guys who have been listening and participating. I have not been ignoring your comments. I have been reading them as I went along. Thank you. This has been great. I need to get a couple more lines so people can call and we can have a big conference call. Alright, how about that? Sounds like a plan? Let's go for it. Alright, y'all take care. Until later. In the background I have playing Nikki Blaze track called Lost in Illusion. This is how we're gonna bounce on out of here. Catch y'all later, alright? Good morning, good afternoon, good day to you wherever you are in the world. From right here in South Florida, I bid you a good night.
I see them lost in illusion, yeah. I see them lost in delusion, yeah. My people, you lost.
Greetings and salutations, one and all. You're invited to tune in to the Night Shift with DJ Kevin Stew. It airs on Mondays with Community and Finance, Tuesdays with Healthy Love, and Wednesdays with Real Talk from 10 p.m. to midnight Eastern Time. Come spend some time interacting in the stew pot where we keep things bubbling and wind down in musical therapy. The Night Shift with DJ Kevin Stew is on kevinstew.com, where you're encouraged to have acceptance through enlightenment.